Chapter 61. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. From Bai Ruoyao's sudden sneak attack to when he cut off his arm and fell into the bottomless pit, everything happened too fast. It was within 60 seconds. By the time Fu Wenqing reacted, the always smiling baby-faced youth had disappeared into the dark bottomless pit. He realized that the youth had wanted to grab Tang Mo's moon flower but was subdued by Tang Mo. He looked at Tang Mo with vigilance and a question arose in his heart. You aren't on the Black Tower's first floor. Just now, the Black Tower said that Bai Ruoyao and Fu Wenqing cleared the Black Tower, but it didn't say Tang Mo's name. The first reaction of Fu Wenqing was that Tang Mo's mission was different from theirs. It was even more likely that he wouldn't be on the Black Tower's first floor. Tang Mo looked at Fu Wenqing. This child seemed relaxed but his hands were holding something in his pocket. As long as Tang Mo attacked, he would immediately fight back. To his surprise, Tang Mo didn't attack him. Instead, Tang Mo went to one side and picked up the 2 moon flowers on the ground. He said honestly, "Yes. I am on the Black Tower's second floor." A moment of consternation appeared on Fu Wenqing's face but he soon calmed down. This little boy, who was just over 10 years old, pretended to speak casually. Then what is your mission? Tang Mo asked. You haven't already guessed. You have to put the moon flower into the vase in the queen's bedroom and close the gem corridor. What is your main mission? Fu Wenqing fell silent after suddenly being questioned. Now that he completed the task, there was no reason for Tang Mo to want his life. This clever little before thought for a moment before decided to say his main mission. I have to survive 3 hours and successfully pass 100 forks. Just now, the Black Tower informed them of the successful completion of the game and said that they survived for 3 hours and cleared 112 forks. Tang Mo had long guessed the real mission of Fu Wenqing and Bai Ruoyao. But his lips curved once he heard Fu Wenqing saying this. You didn't lie to me. His tone was certain. Fu Wenqing couldn't quite understand. The task is over. Why should I lie to you? Tang Mo smiled and didn't speak. The little boy didn't know that he said the same thing 50 minutes ago. But he didn't stare at Tang Mo defensively like he did now. Instead, he hesitated before finally handing over the moon flower in his hand. In the past, he said, your task is to put the moon flower in the vase of the Queen of Hearts' bedroom. Without the moon flower, Tang Mo couldn't complete the mission and clear the tower attack game. This boy, who had been wary of Tang Mo and Bai Ruoyao for the entire journey, handed the remaining moon flower to Tang Mo. At that time, Bai Ruoyao had successfully cleared the tower with 2 moon flowers, 1 stolen from Tang Mo's hand, and left the game. Fu Wenqing heard that Tang Mo had no other way and handed over his moon flower, giving up his reward. However, Tang Mo looked at this child's pretend generous expression and gently smiled. We haven't lost. He said, we, not I. The little boy was surprised. That Bruce. That Bai Ruoyao has already left the game with your stolen moon flower. I think that he should have robbed my moon flower because my moon flower is easier to rob. Yet he stole your moon flower. Don't you need to insert the moon flower into the vase for your mission? He's a psycho. Tang Mo replied bluntly. He explained when Fu Wenqing still looked confused. He didn't grab your moon flower because he felt that it was more interesting to take mine away. In addition, you won't lose the game even if yours is stolen. You just won't receive a reward. Bai Ruoyao and Fu Wenqing's game was on the first floor of the tower. It probably told them how many moon flowers there were and the rewards. Tang Mo said lightly, your flower, perhaps he deliberately left it alone. Fu Wenqing was stunned. Why? It isn't hard to take your moon flower. But he didn't steal it because he knew my mission. This was due to Tang Mo's negligence. As the 3 people walked out of the gem corridor, Bai Ruoyao said that next they needed to insert the moon flower into the vase and Tang Mo didn't deny it. From this time on, Bai Ruoyao knew that Tang Mo's game wasn't the Gem Corridor's desperate survival game. My main mission hide and seek game in the Gem Corridor. The called hide and seek, there must be humans to hide and ghosts to catch the humans. In the Gem Corridor, there is only one existence that can be called ghosts. Fu Wenqing reacted instantly. The guards of the Queen of Hearts. Apart from the three of them, there were only the guards present in the Gem Corridor. The ghosts could only be them. Tang Yamo agreed. Yes, the guards are the ghosts. In order to clear this hide and seek game, I can't be caught by the guards. In fact, there are many ways to avoid being caught by them. I haven't been caught by them for 3 hours, but I haven't finished the game. Fu Wenqing said, there is no guarantee that you won't be caught by the guards unless you leave the Gem Corridor and turn it off forward. He looked up at Tang Yamo, you have to close the Gem Corridor forever, so that you will never be caught by the guards. Then it will be counted as your victory. So, you need the moon flower. The little boy looked down at the moon flower in his hand and struggled for an instant. You still haven't stolen this moon flower from me. Compared to the other adults who always laughed at me, you are. You are good to me. If it wasn't for you, making that psycho would have already aimed at me. The flower that he left me is a chance for you to clear the game, so that you don't lose. He wants to see you steal my moon flower. I am not as strong as you and can't stop you if you try to steal it. Therefore, take it. Once Fu Wenqing said these words, Tang Yamo told him that they hadn't lost. He wasn't convinced by whatever Tang Yamo was planning. He didn't know that at this moment, a white turkey egg in Tang Mo's pocket was emitting a faint glow. A S was flashing on the turkey egg. Tang Yamo watched this child who voluntarily gave up the moon flower and said again, we haven't lost yet. Fu Wenqing looked at him blankly. How can you? Tang Yamo closed his mouth and smiled at him. At the same time, his finger drew a L on the turkey egg. TL. I bolded the long past event sequences to make it slightly easier for readers, since it can be confusion. Save and load. The game file was read. Everything returned to 50 minutes ago. When Tang Yamo opened his eyes again, he was in the narrow Gem Corridor with the little boy and the youth. Fu Wenqing said, are we really not going with him? He seems very certain. The corridor in the middle was definitely right. Tang Yamo looked at Fu Wenqing. After staring for a moment, he said calmly, I also feel that he is very convinced he has chosen the right path. Fu Wenqing didn't expect Tang Mo's attitude to change so much. He asked, then should we turn back and go with him to the middle path? Tang Yamo smiled. Okay. Once they entered the middle road, Tang Yamo heard a familiar, unpleasant song. After hearing their footsteps, the youth turned around and smiled at Tang Yamo, Zhao Zhao, you want to go with me again? Tang Yamo also stared at him for a long time. Then he smiled and said, we meet again, Mr. Bruce. We meet again, Bai Ruoyao. Yes, from this moment on, Tang Yamo loaded the game file again and wondered how to plot against this sinister and cunning youth. Tang Yamo wasn't an actor. He knew what happened in the future, but he couldn't guarantee that he could completely deceive the careful Bai Ruoyao. Therefore, when they first met again, he stared into Bai Ruoyao's eyes for a full 10 seconds and activated look at my pure big eyes in order to gain Bai Ruoyao's trust. Next, he started acting. In fact, before loading the file, Tang Yamo had also chosen to walk with Bai Ruoyao in the middle corridor. At this time, he didn't know what happened in the future or if the middle path was correct. However, he saw two things. First, Bai Ruoyao insisted on going down the middle road. Before Tang Yamo and the little boy entered the corridor on the right, Tang Yamo deliberately reminded Bai Ruoyao that if it was a dead end, the survival rate of 3 people was much better than 1. Even if the corridor on the right was a dead end, there was a chance for the 3 of them to turn back. But if Bai Ruoyao entered the middle corridor alone and met a guard, his survival probability wasn't more than 50%. Yet Bai Ruoyao said to him, "Then goodbye." He still refused to change his choice and had to take the middle road. Bai Ruoyao was very cautious and smart. Since he insisted on taking the middle road, there must be a reason. The choice of the middle road also meant another thing. He refused to take the right road. He knows that there is a problem with the road on the right and it might be dangerous. There was no need to save the file for this since Tang Mo noticed the problem. That's why he only walked for 10 seconds in the right corridor before turning back and finding Bai Ruoyao. Everything that happened below was exactly the same as after loading the file. They walked through many forks and corridors. Once the 3-hour time limit arrived, Tang Mo clearly recognized that always choosing the right road wasn't the real way out of the gem corridor. He thought of the Mobius ring and the Queen of Hearts theory. They broke through the wall and the three people escaped the corridor together. That time, Bai Ruoyao successfully sneak attacked Tang Mo and snatched the moon flower. In fact, Tang Mo could use Fu Wensheng's moon flower to clear the game, but he didn't want to. He chose to load the file again and slay the treacherous baby. Faced Psycho. The things that happened after loading the file didn't change. But when Bai Ruoyao attacked Tang Mo and grabbed the moon flower, Tang Mo was already prepared. He pushed Bai Ruoyao into the bottomless pit and ignored the arm with the big match, forcing Bai Ruoyao to cut off his arm and fall into the bottomless pit. Bai Ruoyao never imagined that Tang Mo would have a rare quality cheat artifact that was the turkey egg. He also didn't think that Tang Mo started to save the game when he chose to enter the middle corridor. There are two reasons for the save file. One was that there was less than 1 hour left on the 3-hour time limit. The turkey egg could save for 1 hour, so this timing was just right. Secondly, Tang Mo saw something on Bai Ruoyao's face. Draw a circle to curse you. As Bai Ruoyao insisted on taking the middle corridor, a familiar black aura lingered on his forehead. Tang Mo thought he was wrong, but once he looked again, this familiar black aura was clearly the performance of the curse. But Bai Ruoyao didn't experience any bad luck, unless him choosing the middle road was counted as being unlucky. This was Tang Mo's speculation at the time. When it came to the probabilities of the curse and the cleverness of Bai Ruoyao, Tang Mo chose to believe the latter. He believed that Bai Ruoyao's insistence was justified and decided to take the middle road with him. He just opened the archiver in case the middle road was really a dead end. Looking back now, the curse effect is to give bad luck. It could be said that when I loaded the game, the psycho became unlucky. Tang Mo thought. The file was loaded and Bai Ruoyao fell into the bottomless pit as a result. He no longer thought too much. Tang Mo held the 2 moon flowers and looked at the little boy. You have to use the moon flower to exchange for a reward and then leave the game. The baby-faced youth had done the same before the file was read. Fu Wensheng had been watching Tang Mo warily. Now he looked somewhat surprised. You won't steal my moon flower. Fu Wensheng and Bai Ruoyao's mission was related to the moon flowers. The moon flowers they had could be exchanged for rewards. He didn't know if Tang Mo's mission had anything to do with the moon flower, but they all carried out similar tasks. It was very likely that Tang Mo's mission reward was also related to the moon flower. However, Tang Mo said, "It is still yours." Fu Wensheng was stunned. Why? Tang Mo looked at the child's confused appearance and couldn't help laughing. Go, I have to complete my mission. Fu Wensheng originally wanted to say something, but he shouldn't stay in this place for too long. He wasn't Tang Mo's opponent. In order to prevent Tang Mo from changing his mind, he exchanged his moon flower for the reward as quickly as possible. Tang Mo didn't know what reward he got, but when the moon flower disappeared, the child couldn't hide the joy in his eyes. Soon, Fu Wensheng's figure disappeared from the narrow corridor. In the starry corridor, Tang Mo stood beside the bottomless pit with 2 moon flowers in his hand. The child left and Tang Mo finally had a chance to check his abilities book. He pulled a thin book out of the air and flipped to the last page. Once Tang Mo saw the ability name on the last page, his eyes widened with surprise. But he was soon smiling helplessly and saying, it was like this. Ability. Mortal's Death, Owner. Bai Ruiyao, Official Player, Type. Special Type, Function. Both eyes can see the darkness of death wrapped around others. Through some actions and words, can change the death of others. The heavier the blackness of death, the more likely they are to die. Level 5, Restriction. Can't see your own dead air. Remark. Don't be afraid when seeing a ball of darkness. Maybe they are going to die in a second. Tang Mo version usage instructions. Can be used 3 times a day and only on the same target. After using it, you will be tangled up in the target and share 1% of the target's dead air. In the eyes of Bai Ruiyao, Tang Mo was a black ball full of flags. But this black ball isn't dead and can't die. The only with the dead air was Bai Ruiyao. This ability is why his attitude was so strange when he first saw me. Perhaps at that time, my dead air was much heavier than the female player. Tang Mo thought. Then when I survived the panther, he was very surprised. It is because he thought I would never survive. This ability was a non-attacking ability and seemed as bad as the ability to change names. But in this gem corridor, this ability was a top weapon. Tang Mo only now understood why Bai Ruiyao refused to go to the right corridor. According to Bai Ruiyao's cautious attitude, he wouldn't easily reveal his preferences or expose his cards. Yet he kept refusing to go to the corridor on the right. It was probably because he saw the dead air around Tang Mo and Fu Wensheng. This dead air was so heavy that he knew the corridor on the right was an extremely dangerous dead end, making him not want to go. In fact, Tang Mo had also thought about. They walked more than 100 forks and encountered many guards. But the guards they encountered weren't particularly strong. It was only once that they met guards who tried an ambush and almost couldn't escape. This luck was surprisingly good. In those 100 forks, they didn't meet any guards who could kill them. Now he realized it wasn't because of luck. It was because they were walking with Bai Ruiyao. Bai Ruiyao could see which road was dangerous by watching the dead air. Some dead ends were dangerous, but even if they met the guards, the 3 people could escape smoothly. The paths that were too dangerous to escape, he would avoid it. For example, he chose the middle road and refused to walk on the right side with Tang Mo and the little boy. He really is a lucky person, Tang Mo stated. Lucky. A low voice was heard in Tang Mo's mind. Tang Mo just suddenly remembered that after opening the archiver, Fu Wenduo was always listening. He explained, a teammate that I met in the tower attack game. He is a psycho and is always doing something weird. But when he sneak attacked me, I was overpowered. Now he might be dead or not dead. Bai Ruiyao had fallen into the bottomless pit, but he had successfully completed the main task. It was likely that he had been sent back to Earth by the Black Tower. Fu Wenduo didn't ask any more questions about this person. Have you completed the Black Tower's second floor game? Tang Mo laughed. No, almost. If there are no accidents then I will be finished soon. Tang Mo raised his palm while chatting with Fu Wenduo. He knew that the trap was a bottomless pit, so it was easy to get through. Whoosh! A rubber rope shot from Tang Mo's palm and flew through the air, firmly attaching itself to the wooden platform at the other side of the bottomless pit. Tang Mo took a deep breath and pushed off from the ground. At the same time, he used the elasticity of the rope to appear on the other side in the blink of an eye. Tang Mo removed the rubber rope, held the 2 moon flowers and walked to the majestic door. He just needed to enter this door, insert the moon flower into the case and he would close the gem corridor, completed the gem corridor hide and seek game. Tang Mo's tightly gripped his small parasol, aware that he might meet some guards or even the Queen of Hearts beyond the door. But the moment he touched the doorknob, Fu Wenduo's magnetic voice sounded in his mind. Yes, I will watch the game without bothering you. I just seem to have heard you mention my name. Did I hear wrong? The Black Tower said I cleared the first floor of the Black Tower. Tang Mo paused, one hand pressed against the cold door. He thought back and understood Fu Wenduo's meaning. Then he laughed. It isn't your name, it is just very similar. He is my other teammate. A little boy in his early teens called Fu Wensheng, not Fu Wenduo. Sudden silence came from Fu Wenduo's side of the turkey egg. Tang Mo noticed something was wrong. Fu Wenduo whispered, "Is he around 11 years old? There is a mole under his right eye and he is a very smart little boy." Tang Mo asked, "Do you know him?" "Yes." Tang Mo, "Don't tell him it was really Fu Wenduo's son." Fu Wenduo stated, "He is my cousin, my uncle's son, Fu Wenduo. The author has something to say." Shi Hui Yao. He, you are going to die, going to die. Tang Tang. You're dead. Your whole family is dead. Shi Hui Yao at MMP, why aren't you dead yet? Old Fu. Listen to his wife being ridiculed by someone. Small book open to vengeful mode, Xiao Fu. Qaq brother. Me, ball you, look at me and forget sister. In law. Author's note. Now you know why Shi Hui Yao is so concerned about Tang Tang. It is because of his ability. Ha, in the world he saw, Tang Tang died 1,000 times and 10,000 times. But Tang Tang can't die or you will be mad. Chapter 62. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The first time that Tang Mo heard the name Fu Wensheng, he thought of Fu Wenduo. This surname was rare and the first names were also similar. The little boy's relationship with Fu Wenduo was a bit unclear. Unless the characters were spelt differently. After Fu Wensheng denied his relationship with Fu Wenduo, Tang Mo buried his suspicions in his heart. He even thought there should be no relationship between Fu Wensheng and Fu Wenduo. After the two Black Tower broadcasts, players in China and all over the world should be familiar with the name of Fu Wenduo. In addition, Chinese players should have unforgettable, unique feelings towards this name. If Fu Wensheng really had a relationship with Fu Wenduo, he shouldn't say his true name so opening. Since he could say that he had nothing to do with Fu Wenduo, he wasn't afraid of the shadow. Tang Mo never imagined that in the end, he and Bai Ruoyao were cheated by this seemingly smart and innocent little boy. It was right to call him Fu Wensheng and the denial of his relationship with Fu Wenduo was false. The child spoke 70% true and 30% false words and his acting skills were excellent. He cheated the two adults and left the instance without Tang Mo being aware that he was deceived. He only knew the truth when he heard it from Fu Wenduo. He is big. Tang Mo whispered. Fu Wenduo asked, "What?" Tang Mo replied, "Nothing." Fu Wenduo, he is your cousin but unfortunately, he has already left the instance. I can no longer contact him. Fu Wenduo spoke in a low voice. It doesn't matter. I didn't expect him to be alive. It is a surprise. Is your game over? Tang Mo shook his head. There is still a bit more. Then I won't bother you. Be careful. The turkey egg was hung up. Tang Mo raised his head and looked at the magnificent door in front of him. He held two moon flowers in one hand and the handle of the parasol in the other. He would be careful not because of Fu Wenduo's words, but because this was a tower attack game. Breaking the Mobius ring in the corridor was an important part of the game, but he couldn't guarantee there wouldn't be any danger in the queen's bedroom, which was part of the game. Tang Mo listened carefully to any movements on the other side of the door. The door was silent and there was no sound. Tang Mo quickly opened the door and moved his body to the side to avoid any surprise attacks waiting. However, there was nothing unusual. The door was quiet and Tang Mo calmly waited for a long time. After 3 minutes, he turned and entered the room. The spacious and gorgeous room was dark and quiet. Bright moonlight shone through the stained glass windows, showing a variegated rectangular block on the ground. Thanks to this faint moonlight, Tang Mo's vision quickly adapted to the lighting in the room and he could see it. There was a familiar big bed and a huge wardrobe behind the bed, making Tang Mo feel stunned. Tang Mo looked again. When he saw the vase with the 3 colored feathers on the dresser, he smiled and shook his head. It turned out that he had already been to the queen's bedroom. The vase on the dresser was filled with red, green and purple feathers, suggesting the number of players. At the same time, this was also the vase of the moon flower. The vase was used for flower arrangement, not feathers. Once the moon flower was inserted here, the gem corridor would be closed forever. Tang Mo walked towards the vase. As he walked up to the vase, a sharp wind slammed into Tang Mo from behind. Tang Mo's eyes narrowed and he moved sideways to avoid it. He didn't expect the thing to turn in the air and stab at Tang Mo's eyes. Tang Mo recited the spell and opened the small parasol, using it to block in front of him. The sharp spear stabbed the small parasol and made a sharp metal sound. After Tang Mo's physical fitness improved, his strength also became very great. Once this spear struck, he felt like he had been hit hard by a mountain. He was knocked back and slammed into the Queen of Hearts wardrobe. There was a sweet taste in his mouth. Tang Mo swallowed the blood and looked up at the mysterious enemy. This was a 3-meter tall playing card guard with a 2-meter long spear in its hand. The playing card's little eyes shimmered in the light as it glared at Tang Mo. The moonlight shone through the window onto the playing card. This guard was different from the guards that Tang Mo encountered in the gem corridor. It had a different color and a layer of faint gold covered it, like it was a general of the guards. Tang Mo couldn't be negligent. He stood up from the ground. The golden guard didn't give Tang Mo a chance to breathe. Tang Mo had just stood up when the spear flew again. Not only was it powerful, it was extremely fast and didn't seem cumbersome at all. It moved flexibly in the room, moving step by step to block Tang Mo's space and pushing him into a dead corner. Tang Mo could only keep the small parasol as a shield and there was no time to return the attack. The dense spear were overwhelming. Tang Mo couldn't counterattack and the golden guard struck faster and faster. The spear was so sharp that it easily pierced Tang Mo's skin and left wounds on him. Tang Mo's back was to the wall of the bedroom and there was no way to retreat. The golden guard used this opportunity to move its spear from top to bottom, intending to pierce Tang Mo's head. At this time, Tang Mo quickly closed the umbrella and his whole body lay on the ground, kicking off from the wall. Using this force, he slipped between the legs of the playing card. The queen's guards were playing cards and each playing card had 4 limbs. The golden guard's legs were only 20 centimeters long and this wasn't enough for Tang Mo to slip through. Just as Tang Mo was about to hit the playing card, he held the small parasol and aimed the tip at the playing card. He believed that the wolf must be stronger than this card. Tang Mo gambled as Grandmother Wolf's small parasol hit the playing card, sparks flying from the collision. But after this earth-shattering impact, the parasol successfully made a hole in the playing card. Tang Mo used this opportunity to slide through and came behind the playing card. The playing card was damaged but the guard's movements weren't hindered. It turned angrily to Tang Mo but Tang Mo didn't care as he ran to the dressing table. The guard waved its spear through the air. It raised its right hand, moved it backwards before the long spear shot forward. Tang Mo ran quickly but he couldn't outrun this spear. The spear would pierce Tang Mo's head while he was 9 meters away from the dressing table. The spear came closer and was only 10 centimeters from stabbing Tang Mo's back. Suddenly, the spear and the movements of the guard stopped. Tang Mo slowly turned around, his arms hugging a small vase. There were red, green and purple feathers inserted in the vase, as well as 2 beautiful silver moon flowers. The moment that the 2 flowers were inserted, the golden guard spear stopped. The next moment. Snap! The queen's bedroom suddenly collapsed, the guard and spear were broken, the stained glass on the window were broken and the big bed and wardrobe were also destroyed. As if something was broken, the whole world collapsed into small pieces. These pieces turned into powder and disappeared into the air. Bright sunlight shone through real windows, lighting up the bedroom. Tang Mo's eyes narrowed because he couldn't adapt to such dazzling sunlight for a while. He held the vase and looked at the broken new world. Night disappeared and day had come. The dark castle that Tang Mo saw after entering the game disappeared without a trace, replaced by a splendid golden castle. In the garden, flowers bloomed and birds hummed. Gold was sprinkled throughout the castle, including the bedroom Tang Mo was in, turning it into a pure gold look. Every ray of light spilled on the ground, reflecting the brilliance of the gemstones. The castle finally felt lived in. Tang Mo finally exited the gem corridor and came to the real gem castle of the Queen of Hearts. The so-called gem castle was bound to be gorgeous and luxurious, not dark and gloomy. Tang Mo muttered, "So. This is the real gem castle." Just now, Tang Mo had used the "you come to hit me" ability to teleport the vase in front of him, quickly inserting the moon flowers into it. The moment the 2 flowers were inserted, the world collapsed and revealed its true appearance. At this moment, a loud child's voice rang in Tang Mo's ears. Ding dong! Player Tang Mo has successfully cleared the 2nd floor of the Black Tower, normal mode, and completed the Gem Corridor's hide and seek game. He has won 2 moon flowers and received 2 rewards. The moon flowers in the vase shone with a silver light and 2 rays flew to Tang Mo's eyebrows. The rays of light disappeared but the moon flowers inserted into the vase didn't disappear. Tang Mo heard the Black Tower's voice in his ears and didn't have time to react. At this moment, a sharp high-heeled sound was heard from outside the door. Tonight's dinner. No, I don't want to eat the human's hands, I want to eat his eyes. The piercing female voice seemed like a broken radio as she cried out from behind the door. You give it to me. Dig out that human's eyes and smear it with my favorite caviar. Did you hear me? Do it. Go and dig out his eyes. The sound of the high heels was getting closer and the door slammed open. A little girl with a crown of jewels on her head appeared at the door. She was wearing a red dress and glanced around her bedroom viciously. Once she saw the moon flowers in the vase. She screamed angrily, "Ah! How can I only have 2 moon flowers left? My 3 moon flowers, 1 is missing. Guard captain, you get lost." The screams of the Queen of Hearts still filled his ears as Tang Mo opened his eyes and returned to Earth. When the Queen of Hearts had entered through the door, the Black Tower had sent Tang Mo away from Gem Castle. Tang Mo only heard the Queen's voice and didn't see her appearance. After returning to the real world, Tang Mo rested for a while. Then he raised his hand to his forehead, causing a shallow light to flash between his eyebrows. Prop. Queen of Hearts Moon Flower, Owner. Tang Mo, Quality. Excellent, Level 1, Attack. None, Function. You can directly get a game strategy. Restrictions. One-time item. A moon flower can be changed into a game guide. The game guide is just a broken version. You can only know the requirements to clear the game and not the method to clear it. Remark. In fact, the Queen of Hearts uses the moon flower as a facial mask every day. This is unknown to everyone in the Gem Castle. Tang Mo didn't know what Fu Wensheng got from the moon flower that made him unable to hide his joy. But Tang Mo's reward was enough to surprise him. Tang Mo carefully scrutinized the functions and limitations of the moon flower and came to a conclusion. The incomplete game guide means that if I used this item in the gem corridor, it would tell me that I could clear the game as long as the moon flower was inserted in the vase. But it won't take me that breaking the wall is the way to leave the gem corridor. There was a pause before Tang Mo shook his head. In fact, I didn't leave the gem corridor when I broke the wall. The fifth rule. One end of the gem corridor is the Queen of Hearts' bedroom. Insert the moon flower in the vase in the Queen's bedroom and the gem corridor will be closed forever. This was Tang Mo's meaning. He guessed that the Queen's bedroom was dangerous and remained cautious. However, he forgot that the Queen's bedroom was also in the gem corridor. The end point was still an end point in the gem corridor. Because it has an end point, there was no other way to go and was a dead end. There must be 2 guards at the dead end. The Queen's bedroom was a special dead end. There weren't 2 guards inside but an extremely powerful golden guard. The moon flower reward seemed a bit sloppy because even without it, Tang Mo guessed that his task was to insert the moon flower into the vase. But for some games, it was a very powerful weapon. For example, the hamster game. If I used this moon flower on the first floor of the Black Tower, I could know that the real way to clear the game was to hit a sufficient number of hamsters, not catch the golden hamster. Such props could play a huge role against the Black Tower and the Black Tower monsters he was always pitted against. After the break, Tang Mo hid the small parasol and headed to Luo Fengqing's office. Once night passed since he entered the tower attack game and the sun was shining. Tang Mo reached an agreement with Luo Fengqing before entering the game. He would tell Luo Fengqing what he met in the tower attack game. This would allow Luo Fengqing to be more prepared for the tower attack game and improve the members of attack, increasing their probability of surviving. Luo Fengqing would exchange equivalent information. Tang Mo walked to Luo Fengqing's office and knocked on the door. Looking up, he moved and saw the man already sitting in the office. At this moment, Luo Fengqing was sitting on the sofa and looking up at Tang Mo. On the other side, Fu Wenduo was sitting on the double sofa. Once he heard the sound of the door opening, he also looked up at Tang Mo. The eyes of the 2 men met in the air. Tang Mo nodded slightly while Fu Wenduo's lips curved and he also nodded. The office was small with only 2 sofas. There was the single seat that Luo Fengqing was sitting on and the other was the double sofa that Fu Wenduo took. Tang Mo thought for a moment before choosing to sit next to Fu Wenduo. The sofa was a bit crowded and his thigh touched Fu Wenduo's thigh. It was a bit hot. Tang Mo couldn't help moving to the side. Luo Fengqing said, "I was talking to Master Fu about the assembly instance." Tang Mo, congratulations on coming back smoothly from the tower attack game. You should wait a bit because we still have some things to finish. Tang Mo nodded. Luo Fengqing and Fu Wenduo took the opportunity to continue talking about the assembly instance. Tang Mo had nothing to do and adjusted his interest while casually watching the room. This time he looked at the man sitting next to him. He remembered the little boy. From Tang Mo's position, he could only see half of Fu Wenduo's face. The high nose and smooth jawline. He looked calmly at Luo Fengqing as he heard relevant information about the assembly instance. This look might seem calm but it was the calm of an eagle. This person was so upright when sitting, it was hard to believe he was a stowaway. Tang Mo secretly thought. You have been looking at me for so long, what are you looking at? Fu Wenduo and Luo Fengqing had finished speaking. The handsome man turned his head, his lips slightly curved as he looked at Tang Mo. Tang Mo coughed twice but his face was very calm as he said, "You and your cousin look a bit alike. The chin is alike but his is sharper than yours." Fu Wenduo's chin wasn't as sharp as the child's. His looked firm and persistent, making him more manly. Fu Wenduo said, "He is still young and might change in the future." "How is he?" Tang Mo explained everything he saw. This wasn't a big deal. It was Fu Wenduo's cousin. He wasn't interested in exchanging this information for something and would just say it. Finally, he left the game with a reward. He denied his relationship with you early on, so I didn't expect him to really be your cousin. It is normal to deny a relationship with Fu Wenduo. Luo Fengqing laughed. If it was me and I met someone in the game who asked if I know the stowaway Fu Wenduo, I would strongly deny it. After all, Jack currently wants to find the stowaway Fu Wenduo and hit him a few times. Of course, I know that Jack can't do this and is more likely to end up on the ground with broken teeth. Therefore, I didn't think him Master Fu's name. Fu Wenduo said lightly, he was mature from a young age. But I haven't seen him for a year since I have been on the border. I only returned to Beijing after the Earth went online. I wanted to see if anyone I knew was alive, but I didn't see a person. Tang Mo leaned forward. He felt a slight pain behind him, but he didn't pay attention to it as he said, maybe this child wasn't at home when the Earth went online. Maybe he was on a trip. Where does he go to play? If you can't find him in Beijing then. Why are you looking at me like that? Fu Wenduo, Luo Fengqing, Tang Mo frowned as he looked at the two people. It was because they were staring at him with very complicated eyes, making his heart feel strange. Luo Fengqing said, in fact, I wanted to say this when you first entered the door. Tang Mo, there is a lot of blood on your clothes. You should have been injured when attacking the tower. But you didn't seem to care, so I didn't mention it. But now. Cough, your back is still bleeding and left blood on my sofa. The wound is so heavy that your self-healing ability can't completely stop the bleeding. What happened? Tang Mo stretched out his hand and touched his back. Sure enough, there was blood on one hand. The people were shocked, but he didn't feel much pain. Fu Wenduo got out and spoke softly, let's go to the infirmary to deal with the pain. The wound caused by the golden guard on his back was still bleeding. Tang Mo was embarrassed to talk to people while bleeding. He said, no, I'll go by myself. It will be fine if I let Liz casually stop the blood. I probably just moved too much and opened the wound. Luo Fengqing said, Liz and Jack went to challenge the S9 instance together. Tang Mo was stunned. Then where can I find Tang Qiao? Luo Fengqing laughed. Tang Qiao also went with them. Tang Mo, You have to deal with the wound first, and Major Fu also has an injury. I have a few things to do here. Tang Mo, we will talk later. Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo left Luo Fengqing's office and went to the infirmary. There was no one here. As Luo Fengqing said, Liz and Jack had gone to attack an instance. Tang Mo was capable of such simple wound treatment. For him and Fu Wenduo, as long as the injury wasn't too serious, the body would automatically heal it after a certain time. Tang Mo met the Golden Guard this time. The Golden Guard's spear wasn't an ordinary weapon. The wounds caused by it were difficult to recover and took longer to heal. After entering the infirmary, Fu Wenduo took the bed while Tang Mo took out the iodine and watched Fu Wenduo take off the gauze around his neck. When he first saw the other person, Tang Mo had seen the gauze around the man's neck. This was the first time Tang Mo had seen Fu Wenduo take care of an injury. It must be very serious. Once Fu Wenduo completely removed the gauze, Tang Mo observed it. He quickly calmed down. I'll take care of it for you. Fu Wenduo agreed. Good. Tang Mo carefully removed the bloody gauze, held a cotton ball with a pair of tweezers, wet it with iodine and gently pressed it to Fu Wenduo's wound. There was a dark hole, as if something had pierced Fu Wenduo's neck and pulled out. This injury was serious enough for anyone to die. If Tang Mo had received it, there was a 30% probability of death. Fu Wenduo survived it and was still alive. Tang Mo had a certain estimate of this person's strength. Does it hurt? The young man's warm breath hit his ear as Fu Wenduo moved his head to the side to let Tang Mo handle the wound on his neck. After hearing this, he looked up at the ceiling. He seemed to think it was very interesting as his lips curved. There is no pain. This distance was too close. Tang Mo didn't care too much because he was dealing with the wound. He said, "This injury is very serious. I thought it was easy for you to clear the Black Tower's second floor, but I guess I was wrong. Before the Earth went online, I had a worse injury than this." Tang Mo was slightly stunned. Worse than this. This would have been a mortal injury before the Earth went online. He was actually hurt worse than this. Fu Wenduo raised a hand and pointed to his heart. It was here. Tang Mo. He suddenly thought of a saying. What was an injury worse than a fatal injury? It was a love injury. Tang Mo said seriously, "Was it while performing a mission?" Fu Wenduo knew that Tang Mo wanted to prevent the conversation from going crooked and nodded. "Yes, a bullet was lodged in my heart 6 months ago. But I survived." A bullet was stuck in his heart. Can a bullet get stuck in the heart? And this person survived. His vitality was really big. Another gauze was placed and Tang Mo wrapped a bandage around Fu Wenduo's neck, tying a knot. Should he make a knot or a bow? After thinking about it, Tang Mo decided to make a knot. Next time he would directly cut it with scissors. Fu Wenduo's injury was handled and now it was Tang Mo's turn. Tang Mo sat on the bed and took off his coat. Once Fu Wenduo grabbed the cotton ball wet with iodine and turned back, he saw such a scene. The thin and white back was covered with injuries. The countless wounds, large and small, were almost entirely new, showing how critical the battle that just ended was. Among them, 3 wounds were the deepest. The bones were visible and they were currently bleeding. Tang Mo said, "I can handle the injuries in other places. I have to trouble you to take care of the ones on my back." Fu Wenduo's eyes slowly narrowed, his eyes dark. He whispered, "Okay." The moment he spoke, the cold iodine cotton ball was pressed on Tang Mo's wound. Tang Mo couldn't help shivering at the extremely cool temperature. His back straightened and the thin shoulder blades were exposed. The skin on his back was sensitive, making a type of unspeakable strange feeling enter Tang Mo's heart. Tang Mo lowered his head, his hair slipping down to cover his expression. Under the white light, his body was white and clear. Fu Wenduo's eyes were calm and he seemed unmoved. He pressed the cotton ball against Tang Mo's back again. "The author has something to say." Tang. A knot or a bow? Well, I'll just do a knot and strangle him. Old Fu. My wife's back. Hashtag only has eyes for his wife's back. Hashtag, some readers have doubts about how Tang Mo got Shi Huiyao's ability. It is because they haven't found the real usage and limitations of don't give money for eating. Chapter 63. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There were a slight tingling sensation from when the iodine touched the wound. Tang Mo didn't mind this type of pain and sat on the bed looking ahead. He was facing a glass window and outside the infirmary was a dark underground parking lot. Once the lights in the room were turned on, the window became a mirror, reflecting the scene inside the room. He saw Fu Wenduo applying the medicine on him. It felt strange and the touch on his back wasn't very comfortable. Tang Mo broke the silence. "That kid. I mean, Fu Wensheng, he is your cousin." Fu Wenduo held the tweezers in one hand and said, "Yes, if you didn't make a mistake then it is indeed him. He was very decisive when he denied knowing you. He didn't seem to be lying and was good enough to fool Tang Mo and Bai Ruoyao. I'm not very familiar with him. He is 16 years younger than me. I went to see him when he was born. Later, I entered the army and came home less so I didn't see much of him." Fu Wenduo spoke calmly. "It is understandable that he denies knowing me. If someone asked you about your relationship with me in the game, Tang Mo." Fu Wenduo's voice stopped and he raised his head, looking at the window that had turned into a mirror. "Would you admit it?" Tang Mo's peeking was discovered. Tang Mo immediately withdrew his gaze and said, I definitely wouldn't admit it. Fu Wenduo laughed and changed the topic. This is the first time you used the archiver. How does it feel? The reason why Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo knew each other was because of the turkey egg. It had now been 3 months. In these 3 months, Fu Wenduo had used the archiver. At that time, he was forcibly pulled into the Black Tower's second-floor attack game and could only choose to disclose the true function of the turkey egg to Tang Mo. It was because he didn't have a grasp of the tower at that time and had to use the archiver to ensure his safety. Finally, he used suicide to load the file and found a way to temporarily leave the tower attack game. Tang Mo was different. Tang Mo didn't need to read the file in the Mario game. Then in the Pinocchio game, Tang Mo also didn't need to read the file and only used the save function. This was his first real use of the archiver. Tang Mo gradually became serious. It is very wonderful. When I communicated with you in my mind after loading the file, I realized that your time hasn't changed. But in the game, time flowed backwards. I returned to the save point and met my teammates from 50 minutes ago, including your cousin. They didn't seem to notice anything. Only I knew what I had experienced. The things that happened next were the same, except I easily avoided some risks. Tang Mo said this and raised his head, not shy about looking at the man in the glass mirror. Loading the file, is time going backwards? Fu Wenduo stopped his actions and also looked at Tang Mo in the mirror. The two people's eyes met in the dark glass window and Fu Wenduo said, there are many possibilities. However, the thing I most disagree with is time going back. Why? Tang Mo remembered his a fast man ability. This ability looked like pause time on the surface. In Gem Castle, Bai Ruoyao mistook Tang Mo's ability as stopping time. In fact, this ability sped up the user. Once his speed became many times faster than other people, their movements became still in his eyes. This ability wasn't pausing time but speeding it up. Humans are 3-dimensional beings that can visual a long and wide area, which is space. But the universe we live in is 4-dimensional. Fu Wenduo spoke while disinfecting Tang Mo's wounds. The fourth dimension in the universe is generally considered a time dimension. Unfortunately, we can only perceive this dimension but not control it. The only thing we can do is move clockwise along the axis of time. This simple common sense, Tang Mo also knew it. Therefore, he understood Fu Wenduo's meaning. The save function of the turkey egg might be at the moment it is saved, it leaves a mark on the time axis. We can return to this node directly after loading the file. But Tang Mo, it didn't take me back to that time node. Fu Wenduo said. I intersected with your time node. You returned to the saved node but my time still moved forward. Tang Mo fell into deep thoughts. Fu Wenduo's words were right. It was very interesting when using the turkey egg. Once saved, the two players would start to share information. It was a compulsive, unable to be closed sharing. This meant that when Tang Mo chose to save a file, Fu Wenduo would inevitably hear Tang Mo's voice in his mind. Fu Wenduo couldn't see any images but all sounds could be heard. When Tang Mo was talking about the Mobius ring and the Queen of Hearts theory, Fu Wenduo was listening quietly. When he was attacked by Bai Ruoyao and his moon flower snatched, Fu Wenduo heard all of this. It was just that he couldn't get involved. He could only listen while unable to make any changes. Once Tang Mo loaded the file, he returned to 50 minutes ago. Fu Wenduo's time didn't go back. On Earth, he still walked along the normal time axis. He heard Tang Mo start to repeat the actions of the previous round and successfully counter Bai Ruoyao. This wasn't possible unlike the time that Momo reversed was limited to the game. This was very likely because the turkey egg could only be used in the Black Tower games and there was no effect in the real world. However, Tang Mo's eyes widened as he thought of another possibility. He quickly looked back and said, perhaps after I turned on the archiver, everything I experienced was fake. The Black Tower changes the flow of time between you and me. Then it will use the consciousness of my teammates and I to speculate on the most probable future. His voice stopped. The sudden action of turning back caused the two people to look at each other in the eye. Fu Wenduo was holding a cotton ball to help disinfect Tang Mo's shoulder wound. He lowered his head to look at the deep wound where the bone was visible. Tang Mo suddenly turned back and the distance was narrowed. There was only a distance of 5 centimeters between them, causing the two people's breaths to intertwine. Tang Mo seemed to see astonishment on Fu Wenduo's face. He seldom saw this man look surprise, but this time Tang Mo was also scared. Tang Mo's eyes trembled and he opened his mouth, but he couldn't speak. At this moment, Fu Wenduo clearly felt a fresh and clean scent enter his nose. This scent was very light but smelt good. His hand on the tweezers gradually tightened. For a moment, the two of them didn't move as they looked at each other from such a close distance. This distance was close enough that it would look like they were kissing from a certain point of view. The next moment, a smiling voice was heard from the door. "Ah, am I disturbing you?" Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo turned to look at the door. Luo Fengcheng wore a white research coat and laughed as he leaned against the door. "Just kidding. From where I was standing, it looked like you were kissing." He spoke very calmly. After all, it was two men, not a man and a woman. It wasn't a big deal to say such a joke. However, once he heard this, a lump filled Tang Mo's throat and a strange feeling entered his heart. Fu Wenduo wasn't gay but Tang Mo was. Luo Fengcheng thought it was difficult to two men to have any special relationship, so he made a joke. However, Tang Mo knew that he liked men. This joke might really be a joke for Fu Wenduo, but it was a bit embarrassing for Tang Mo. Tang Mo deliberately sat on the edge of the bed, trying to stay as far away from Fu Wenduo as possible. At this time, Fu Wenduo moved the tweezers and pressed the cotton ball against the deepest wound on Tang Mo's back. Once the iodine touched the wound, Tang Mo shook all over and sat back. He almost jumped up and hit Fu Wenduo's chin, before leaning back against Fu Wenduo. Fu Wenduo spoke in a low voice. "The wound is next to your spine. You should be careful not to aggravate it while it is healing. 2 more centimeters to the side and it would have pierced your third lumbar spine. With your resilience, you shouldn't be paralyzed for the rest of your life. However, you wouldn't be able to stand up for a short time and would have no ability to fight back." After a pause, he continued. "When you fight with others, you should try to cover this weak spot. Okay." This was the difference in awareness. Tang Mo seldom fought before. Most Jiangnan people were amiable and there were few opportunities to even move his mouth in an argument. Now he had to fight and knew some places would work better. But it was too hasty and he wouldn't have knee-jerk reactions. He could only casually attack. It would take a long period of training. Luo Fengcheng heard Fu Wenduo's words and came over. "This injury is a bit heavy. You are still alive despite such a heavy injury. Tang Mo, it is rare for you to become like this." Tang Mo had thought the same thing when treating Fu Wenduo's wound half an hour ago. Now Luo Fengcheng was saying to him. He replied, "I was lucky. The main thing was that the monster's weapon was unique. It weakened the healing powers of the wound." The trio didn't continue on this subject. Luo Fengcheng asked, "What were you talking about just now?" The timing for when Luo Fengcheng entered the infirmary was quite clever. Normally, Fu Wenduo and Tang Mo would hear his footsteps before he got close. But at the time, Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo were in a relatively embarrassing situation and neither of them realized Luo Fengcheng was so close. The problem with the archiver involved time, consciousness and might even be related to the human brain. Professional problems should be solved by professional people and Luo Fengcheng was the best choice. Tang Mo looked calmly at Luo Fengcheng. Then he heard Fu Wenduo say, it is nothing. We were just talking about a previous game. Tang Mo added, yes, that game was very difficult. It is the Christmas even game Major Fu and I participated it. I mentioned it to you before. The two of them tacitly avoided the problem of the turkey egg. The turkey egg was Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo's most important prop. They didn't want to tell anyone about it yet, even if that person was Luo Fengcheng. Luo Fengcheng gazed at the two people. Then he said, in the office, I heard you say that Major Fu's cousin also cleared the Black Tower's first floor. Is he in Shanghai? Fu Wenduo finished the disinfection and covered the wound with gauze. Tang Mo stood up and put his white shirt back on. He said, he shouldn't be in Shanghai. When the Black Tower broadcasted this game clearance, it said that he was a player from China's 6th district. China's 2nd district is Shanghai. I don't know where the 6th district is. But it definitely isn't Shanghai. Fu Wenduo said, China's 1st district should be Beijing. When Fu Wenduo was still in Beijing, the Black Tower said that China District 1 stowaway Fu Wenduo has cleared the Black Tower's first floor. A few days later, Fu Wenduo cleared the Black Tower's 2nd floor and it said, China District 2 stowaway Fu Wenduo. Most players might not notice this difference but Tang Mo and Luo Fengcheng noticed. Many other players who were prepared might have found this detail. Luo Fengcheng speculated, China's 1st district is Beijing and the 2nd district is Shanghai. This is the region distribution of the Black Tower. It is clear that the regions are based on each city. Every 10,000 square kilometers of land has a Black Tower. According to China's urban planning, most city areas are around 10,000 square kilometers. It is possible that the division of each area is based on the location of each Black Tower. A Black Tower is a district. Tang Mo looked up at Luo Fengcheng as he realized. Beijing is District 1 and Shanghai is District 2. Is it divided according to the city rankings of China? Luo Fengcheng nodded and added something else. I noticed it a long time ago but I also noticed something else. Tang Mo, Major Fu, the first time a player in each region of the world clears the Black Tower, it will be broadcasted globally. Mr. Fu is the exception. He was the first to clear the Black Tower and it was reported 3 times. In the other regions, the players that clear the tower are only broadcasted once, such as the US and European regions. The first person would always get the privilege. Tang Mo was deeply touched because he was the first to clear the tower attack game in difficult mode and got the special care of the Black Tower. Fu Wenduo's calm voice was heard. Why is it the European zone? Tang Mo was slightly startled and his face sank as he understood the key of the problem. Luo Fengcheng saw Fu Wenduo and Tang Mo's solemn expressions and smiled. It was easy to talk to smart people. If it was Jack standing in front of him, it wouldn't be possible for Jack to understand his meaning without Luo Fengcheng explaining. He just mentioned it and Fu Wenduo and Tang Mo already knew what he wanted to say. Yes. There is the United States, China and European regions. Why not the UK region, Germany region or France region? Or with the East Asian countries, why is China separate and not part of the East Asian region like Japan and South Korea? Beijing is China District 1 and Shanghai is China District 2. Why? Does the Black Tower have such a clear regional division? The author has something to say. Tang that as a gay person, I am silent about this joke. Old Fu. His favorite person is a man, making him potentially gay. He is also silent about this joke. Luo Fengcheng. Are you blaming me? Chapter 64. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The first player in each region to open the Black Tower would be broadcasted globally by the Black Tower, pulling all the players in the area to attack the tower. As long as one player cleared the Black Tower, the other players dragged in could temporarily leave the game. Since November 15 when the Earth went online, the Black Tower had already broadcasted 10 areas. The China region, US region, Europe region, Russia region, East Asia region, Southeast Asia region, South Asia region, West Asia region, the Americas region and Luo Fengcheng spoke the name of the last region. The Lampang region. There are 10 regions in total. In the past 3 months, there were players in the 10 regions who cleared the Black Tower. The last region to clear the first floor of the Black Tower was the Lampang region, but that was already 1.5 months ago. When the Black Tower had broadcasted these 10 areas, Tang Mo had played a game 3 times and didn't hear the contents of the broadcast. He looked at Luo Fengcheng. China and East Asia, Russia and Europe, the United States and Americas region. The relationship between the three are the same. China belonged to East Asia, the United States to the Americas and Russia to Europe. However, these 3 countries were included in the areas to which they belonged. They were taken out separately. Tang Mo thought, is it related to the economic situation of the 3 countries? But he soon dismissed it. Russia isn't ranked 3rd in the global economy. 3rd is Japan. It wasn't just the economy. In recent years, the behemoth Russia, the huge power that once fought against the United States, gradually sunk. Of course, it was still a deadly power and Russia was also divided into a separate area. The division of the Black Tower couldn't be due to the economic gap between countries, nor was it the high level of discourse that each country had in the world. Tang Mo suddenly understood what it was and turned to look at Fu Wenduo. Fu Wenduo also looked at him calmly and confirmed Tang Mo's speculation. Before the Earth went online, these 3 countries would truly be the most powerful if World War III began. It was impossible to count Russia in the economic rankings. According to the land rankings, Russia and China accounted for the top 3 in the world, but Canada was at number 2. Therefore, the most likely scenario was that the Black Tower ranked it according to the country's military strength. Before the Earth went online, these 3 countries were most likely to be the ultimate winners if there was a global war. After the Earth went online, the players were divided and the 3 countries were singled out as targets. It was just a guess and wasn't necessarily true. Tang Mo's expression gradually sank as he said, the Black Tower has a thorough understanding of human society. Luo Fengcheng nodded. Yes. The United States, China and Russia are listed separately. This is a global analysis of the current situation on the planet. Beijing was China District 1 and Shanghai was China District 2. It is very likely that Guangzhou is China District 3 and Shenzhen is China District 4. This zoning itself represents a very familiar understanding of China. The way it divides the region isn't important. The important thing is Major Fu, Tang Mo, the Black Tower understands humans more than we imagined. Fu Wenduo and Luo Fengcheng had long confirmed to Tang Mo that the Black Tower definitely wasn't made by any countries on Earth. China didn't have this technology and the United States didn't have this technology. For the 6 months after the Black Tower suddenly appeared, all the countries in the world were trying to study the tower. This was unless the tower was made by a hidden organization. But even the great powers like the United States, China and Japan couldn't delve into the technology of the Black Tower, which exceeded the current level of human technology. If this was really made by a human organization, they would long have the power to destroy humanity. The probability was extremely low. Luo Fengcheng said, it knows the international situation, knows the city levels within each country, knows the traditional religious festivals of humanity, Christmas, and knows many creatures created by humans, Pinocchio. I've had a question since the Earth went online. On May 15, the Black Tower suddenly appeared on Earth. On November 15, it made the announcement that the Earth was online. In those 6 months, it didn't move. What exactly was it doing? Tang Mo thought for a moment. It was collecting information about the human world. Luo Fengcheng looked at Tang Mo, I guessed the same. For half a year, the Black Tower was silently suspended over the world's major cities without doing anything special. What was it doing? If it really had to wait until November 15th, why did it appear 6 months in advance? It was collection information about Earth. This way, it could accurately divide human society. The three people looked at each other for a long time before Luo Fengqing smiled. In fact, there is no point knowing this. Right now, the highest we have reached is the second floor and the tower has 7 floors. The priority is to live and attack the tower. This matter has nothing to do with me. By the way, what were you saying? Tang Yamo felt very uncomfortable after knowing that the Black Tower had been spying on the human world for the past 6 months. He monitored this uncomfortable feeling and said, Major Fu's cousin is in District 6. According to speculation, China is divided according to the strength of the city. Then District 6, is it Hangzhou? Tianjin? Or somewhere else? Luo Fengqing replied, there shouldn't be much doubt with the first 4 districts. But in the future, many cities won't have a standard ranking. Fu Wenduo asked, what district is Nanjing? Tang Yamo and Luo Fengqing turned to him. Fu Wenduo replied calmly. My second aunt's mother lives in Nanjing. He might have gone to his grandmother's house for a holiday, meaning he is in Nanjing. Luo Fengqing said, Nanjing is very close to Shanghai. Many people there fled to Shanghai to find surviving friends and relatives. I will ask the members of Attack to see if they can find anyone from Nanjing. Perhaps they will know what district Nanjing is. Fu Wenduo nodded. After this, Tang Yamo talked about what he encountered in the tower attack game. He first confirmed Chen Shanshan's previous speculation. In the same tower attack game, there really are players on different floors. Since this had been said, Tang Yamo no longer hid it. I was on the Black Tower's second floor while the other 2 players were on the first floor. The different floors have tasks with a different difficulty. The main task for the 3 of us was different. Luo Fengqing seemed to have already guessed that Tang Yamo was attacking the Black Tower's second floor. He didn't show any surprise as he said, this point should be noted. The main mission is the same and you can't fully trust unfamiliar teammates. The main mission is different and you definitely can't trust your teammates. We need to raise our vigilance. Why are you looking at me like this? Tang Yamo retracted his gaze and said calmly. We really can't trust our teammates. This time, I met a very strange teammate. Tang Yamo thought about him. His skills are very good. His ability isn't strong but he is a good fighter. I was almost tricked by him. Fu Wenduo, do you know him? His name is Bai Ruoyao. He is so good, maybe he is also part of the special forces. Fu Wenduo had long heard the name of Bai Ruoyao through the turkey egg and didn't know this person. Tang Yamo said the name to see if Luo Fengqing, not Fu Wenduo, knew this person. Sure enough, Fu Wenduo didn't answer. Luo Fengqing thought for a moment. Bai Ruoyao. Is it a woman? It was a woman's name. Tang Yamo shook the head. It is a man. He has a baby face, is very tall and very young. Luo Fengqing looked at Fu Wenduo. Major Fu, have you heard of this person in the army? No, I haven't either. Tang Yamo had already guessed this answer. The 3 people spoke for a while and then Jack and Liz returned. Luo Fengqing just received news from Tang Yamo so he called the members of Attack for a meeting. Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo didn't go since they weren't members of the organization. Tang Yamo put on his clothes and left the infirmary with a bottle of iodine. The 2 men turned a corner, entered a safe passage and went up the stairs. The sound of footsteps echoed in the spacious, silent staircase. Tang Yamo listened around for movements and after confirming that no one was nearby, he whispered, the principal behind the turkey egg, I have another guess. Maybe after we save the file, time doesn't go forward. It is our consciousness that really goes forward. The turkey egg simulates what will happen in the next hour and instills the memories in our minds. But this doesn't explain why time keeps moving forward if we don't load the file. Fu Wenduo said, I remember that if both of us are in the same game, as long as one person uses the turkey egg, the other person's turkey egg will expire and can't be used until the cooldown is over. Tang Mo understood why Fu Wenduo suddenly said this. He turned around and looked at the man. Yes. In addition, as long as one person loads the file, the other person will be forced to read the file and return to the save point. Tang Mo stopped as he understood what Fu Wenduo meant. He laughed. The both of us playing the same game, it is really a disadvantage. Not only was the difficulty increased, the turkey egg could only be used once. However, since leaving the tower attack game, Tang Mo always had a thought in his heart that he didn't speak. He originally wanted to find Luo Fengcheng to tell him about what happened in the game and found Luo Fengcheng with Fu Wenduo. As a result, he encountered a series of things and never said anything. Tang Mo walked up the stairs while mentally organizing his words. Just as he was ready to speak, a low male voice was heard behind him, Tang Mo, today are you a little bit faster? Tang Mo was stunned and couldn't react. What is faster? The two people had already arrived at the first floor. Tang Mo was standing on a corner of the stairwell on the first floor, a large floor-to-ceiling window beside him. The bright morning sun shone through the window onto his body, dyeing his hair gold. He turned to look at Fu Wenduo, not understanding what he meant. Fu Wenduo looked at the young man about to melt in the golden sun and explained. You seem to be doing everything a bit faster today. Well. For example, when you changed the gauze, your actions were very fast and short. The speed of your speech is also 0.5 seconds faster than normal. The last is. Tang Mo looked at the 3 steps between the two of them. I'm not walking slowly, but Tang Mo, you are really walking too fast. Therefore, are you a little bit faster today? Tang Mo, who remembered the side effect of using a certain ability, You are fast. Your whole family was fast. The ability of Fast Man allowed the user's maximum movement speed to reach the speed of sound. Once he used the ability, the side effect of a fast man would occur for 24 hours and he would become very fast. Tang Mo couldn't say this and became anxious. At this time, Fu Wenduo added firewood to the fire. What happened to make you so urgent and to do things so fast? Tang Mo was too pained to say a word. He didn't feel desire in that aspect right now, so he couldn't prove if he was fast everywhere. But according to what Fu Wenduo just claimed, he truly did become faster. Therefore, for the next 24 hours, he would be very fast. Tang Mo didn't speak and Fu Wenduo looked at him thoughtfully. This gaze made Tang Mo feel more depressed. Based on Fu Wenduo's IQ, perhaps he could guess something. Tang Mo finally said, It is your illusion. I just left the tower attack game and my mind is tense. I am always on guard against unknown danger and brought this habit to reality. It should be fine after a few days. To be precise, it was 24 hours. Tang Mo saw that Fu Wenduo still wanted to say something and immediately changed the topic. 2 weeks ago, the Black Tower updated to version 2.0 and it allows multiple players to team up to enter the game. Fu Wenduo swallowed down his words. He closed his mouth and looked up at Tang Mo. So. Tang Mo was watching Fu Wenduo while Fu Wenduo smiled at him. One person stood in the sun while the other one was standing in the shadow of the staircase. It was just like the identities of the two people. One was an official player and the other was a stowaway. No matter the reason behind the killing, Fu Wenduo was the ultimate stowaway hated by all Chinese players. After a long time, Tang Mo opened his mouth first. In yesterday's tower attack game where I met your cousin, I found that having good teammates is very important. Therefore, Fu Wenduo, do you want to team up the next time to attack the tower? Tang Yamo spoke very calmly. However, this was a question he had been thinking about for a while. Since the Earth went online, Tang Yamo wanted to find at least one suitable teammate. His teammates list only had the name Chen Shanshan on it. Unfortunately, Chen Shanshan was still young and not mature enough. She was currently a member of Attack and Luo Fengcheng's student. If there were no incidents, she couldn't team up with Tang Yamo for a short period of time. A good teammate could make the game easier, with a 1 + 1 = more than 2 effect. Chen Shanshan was very smart and her ability to make the most accurate choice and judgment were useful for the team. But she was less important than Fu Wenduo. The criteria for a good teammate included intelligence, force, strength and many other aspects. The most important thing wasn't these personal qualities but the tacit understanding between the team members. Whether it was Pinocchio's honest card game or the Iron Shoemaker's game, Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo became aware of the excellent tacit understanding between them. The only obstacle was, "Tang Yamo, aren't you afraid to go with me?" Fu Wenduo's lips curved as he stood in the darkness and stared calmly at Tang Yamo. Tang Yamo smiled and asked, "Aren't you afraid to go with me?" The world's first player to clear the first and second floors of the Black Tower, the stowaway that the Black Tower monsters wanted to eat the most to raise their strength. Fu Wenduo asked if Tang Yamo wasn't afraid to team up with him. Tang Mo's answer was, "Are you afraid to team up with the world's first player to clear the tower attack game in difficult mode?" Once they teamed up, the team's strength would be greatly improved but the games would also be more difficult. No one knew if the difficulty of the game would increase more or if the two people's overall strength would improve more. But after going through the tower attack game with Bai Ruoyao, Tang Yamo became more concerned about having a good teammate who was trustworthy. Fu Wenduo was strong and smart, while his tacit understanding with Tang Yamo was very high. His identity as a stowaway was also because he performed a national mission. Tang Yamo didn't doubt his character for the time being. If Fu Wenduo had been there, it would have been absolutely impossible for Bai Ruoyao's sneak attack to work and he might have even been beaten up until his parents didn't recognize him. The more Tang Yamo thought about it, the more suitable Fu Wenduo was to be his teammate. Fu Wenduo said, "According to the current situation, the difficulty of your games will increase if we team up." Tang Yamo didn't deny it. Fu Wenduo was a stowaway and the world's first player to clear the first and second floors. The Black Tower should rate Fu Wenduo's strength as above Tang Yamo and the increase in difficulty of the games would be more apparent for Tang Yamo. Tang Yamo said, assuming that the difficulty of the game is too much and the team is about to lose. Tang Yamo smiled. "Mr. Fu, I can take a step first and leave you behind." Fu Wenduo was slightly stunned but he soon understood what Tang Yamo was saying. Tang Yamo admitted that he had the king's gold coin. If the game was really too difficult and couldn't be cleared, Tang Yamo wouldn't hesitate to use the king's gold coin and leave Fu Wenduo behind. Tang Yamo spoke honestly and didn't hide his thoughts. Fu Wenduo looked at him for a moment before taking one step up the stairs. He took a total of 3 steps and quickly arrived in front of Tang Yamo. "You probably don't know my ability yet." Tang Yamo was stunned. "What?" Fu Wenduo laughed. "Before you can slip away, in the face of a powerful boss, rest assured that I am certain to die after you." Tang Yamo, Putting aside the future of selling their teammates, this was about life and death in battle. Tang Yamo seemed speechless on the surface. He waved his hand and turned to go into the mall. Fu Wenduo didn't say anything more as he kept up with Tang Mo's pace. In fact, Tang Yamo already sees the meaning of Fu Wenduo's words deep in his heart. Fu Wenduo didn't know what Tang Mo's ability was. Tang Yamo didn't know what Fu Wenduo's ability was. But Fu Wenduo confidently told Tang Yamo that if the two of them met a really horrible Black Tower monster, he would definitely die after Tang Yamo. In other words, he wasn't saying he would sell Tang Yamo out to escape. Instead, he believed that he could live longer than Tang Yamo. What type of power did he have that made him so confident? Tang Yamo couldn't find a clue. At this time, the two of them had entered a clothing store. Tang Mo's clothes were covered in blood while Fu Wenduo's collar was torn by a black tower monster. The two of them chose their own clothes and entered a dressing room. Tang Yamo stood in front of a mirror and finished with his cuffs. He spoke lightly, "The next tower attack game is in 3 months. When do you plan to go?" Fu Wenduo replied, "I will prepare for a while, so around 2 months. Good, we will go 2 months later." There was no need to say anything else. Both of them agreed that the next tower attack game would be done together. This was from their tacit understanding. After changing clothes, Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo parted in the mall. Before leaving, Tang Yamo had a thought. "If I want to find you tomorrow, where should I go?" Fu Wenduo raised his eyebrows. "Are you looking for me for something?" Tang Mo's face didn't change. "My fighting skills can't keep up with my physical fitness. Therefore, give your teammate a few pointers, Mr. Fu. After all, your team will become stronger if your teammate is strong." Tang Yamo didn't say these words but he knew that Fu Wenduo understood his meaning. In the warm sunshine, Fu Wenduo stared at Tang Yamo and Tang Yamo calmly let him. After a while, Fu Wenduo nodded. "Tomorrow afternoon, I will see you in that clothing store. The author has something to say. Tang Tang. This person must be the best teammate for me. Old Fu. This person is the best husband for you. Smile." I suddenly thought about what would happen if the game is really difficult for Tang Tang and Old Fu to clear. Tang Tang uses the king's gold coin, slipped away. Selling my husband, no problem. Old Fu. It is really good when thinking about this. I really want to write it 233, 333, 3333. Chapter 65. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Earth is Online. Chapter 65. Chapter 65. After a day of rest, the wounds on Tang Mo's back and body were much better. Except for the few deep wounds that hadn't healed, the other minor bruises had disappeared. In the afternoon, Tang Yamo came to the clothing store and waited for Fu Wenduo. Fu Wenduo looked at Tang Yamo, his eyes pausing on Tang Mo's shoes for a moment. He looked up. "Did you deliberately change to light clothing?" "Yes." Tang Yamo got up early in the morning and went to the sports brand store. He found a personal sportswear outfit and changed into the store's sneakers. He really wanted to learn stronger fighting skills and improve his strength. Otherwise, if he encountered another player like Bai Ruoyao and didn't have the archiving function, he might be successfully attacked by the other party. In fact, Bai Ruoyao successfully attacked him. Tang Yamo asked, "Where are we going?" "I know there is a primary school 2 kilometers away where there is a standard track field." Fu Wenduo agreed. "I passed by there when I came to this mall." The two people didn't speak any more nonsense and headed to the primary school. A primary school didn't have as many resources as a shopping mall and not many players chose to stay in a school. Even so, Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo carefully inspected every building in the school and determined that no one was hiding here before entering the track field. No one had cleaned up and the area was covered with weeds. Fu Wenduo moved to the center of the field, where the fiercely growing weeds almost reached his knees. Tang Yamo calmly followed him into the weeds. Then Fu Wenduo suddenly said, "In the past, the army would recruit all over the country every 6 months for training." Tang Yamo asked, "You are responsible for the training?" He remembered Luo Fengcheng saying that Fu Wenduo was the youngest major in China and the captain of an ace special forces team. "I'm not responsible for training new people." Fu Wenduo stopped and looked at Tang Yamo. He smiled and continued moving. But his eyes were dark and strange, as if he was thinking of something interesting. Tang Yamo lightly asked, "Why?" "Because if I train them, they will be killed by me." Tang Yamo didn't answer. He just kept following the other person. This person was quite interesting. After walking to the center of the grass, Fu Wenduo stopped with Tang Mo. Tang Mo waited for the other person's movements and Fu Wenduo whispered, "No abilities and no weapons. Just try to attack me." Tang Mo realized. "You want to test my base first?" Fu Wenduo said, "This is a black tower game and I am your enemy. You need to kill me." The words hadn't been said when Tang Mo moved like lightning and leapt towards Fu Wenduo. He formed a fist with his right hand. His fierce fist caused a blast of wind and smashed into Fu Wenduo's face. Fu Wenduo moved his head to the side. Tang Mo expected this and kicked with his right leg. The weeds bent down from the fierceness of the wind, while Fu Wenduo used his right hand to press his leg down. The two of them were soon entangled together. Fu Wenduo dodged almost all of Tang Mo's attacks. Like Fu Wenduo said, Tang Mo didn't use any abilities to fight against him. In fact, Tang Mo's ability itself wasn't an offensive ability. Apart from a fast man, which increased his chances of winning in close combat, spitting fire and the wind blast, he didn't have any other combat abilities. He really relied on his strong physical fitness. It was an extreme reaction ability and dynamic vision combined with his high speed and strength. Tang Mo wouldn't fall behind even if he met the world's boxing champion. As soon as he touched the other person, they would lose. He wouldn't be able to break down martial artists, but he had the power to subdue 10 of them. Every one of Tang Mo's attacks were ruthless and aiming for death. He constantly attacked Fu Wenduo's kill points such as the eyes and temples. However, Fu Wenduo avoided them every time. He would also block Tang Mo's next blow. The two men exchanged dozens of rounds in the center of the track field. The weeds were cut off and yellow dust covered the sky. Tang Mo glanced around and didn't attack Fu Wenduo. Instead, his foot swept across the ground and dust flew up. Surprise appeared in Fu Wenduo's eyes for the first time. The sudden yellow sand made him close his eyes for a moment and he couldn't avoid anything for a second. In this second, Tang Mo's right hand formed a fist, his middle finger bulging as he punched Fu Wenduo in the temple next to his left eye. The moment it was about to hit, a palm blocked his attack and held his hand. The surprised Tang Mo tried to withdraw his hand but Fu Wenduo grabbed onto it, moving forward to get a lock on his pulse. At the same time, he did a quick cross kick and Tang Mo's body was pressed to the ground by him. Fu Wenduo's left hand clasped his wrist while the right hand grabbed Tang Mo's neck and pressed him to the ground. Fu Wenduo opened his eyes. Just now, I closed my eyes and the biggest flaw exposed was the left temple. You shouldn't have hit there because you know it is my biggest flaw. I also know it and will be on my guard. Tang Mo worked hard for 10 minutes and there wasn't a good point. Fu Wenduo relaxed while Tang Mo gasped. The other person let go of his throat. Fu Wenduo released him. The two people rested for a while before Fu Wenduo said, "Come again." Tang Mo didn't say anything and attacked again. From afternoon to evening, Tang Mo felt what was called despair for the first time. Fu Wenduo really wasn't lying. He didn't train new recruits for a reason. Tang Mo was really beaten to death by him. If Tang Mo didn't block it, he felt that he really would be killed by this person. Strong physical fitness and a terrible awareness, this person was simply invulnerable. It was really difficult to kill Fu Wenduo unless his pure strength was combat power was higher. After all, this was a real close combat fight. Fu Wenduo left a lot of bruises on Tang Mo's body. Tang Mo wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and rose again. The two people stared at each other and attacked the next moment. Fighting was the best way to learn. After an afternoon of struggling, Tang Mo continued to learn from his failures and his muscles developed a certain reflex. His body acted before his consciousness as it remembered a lot of movements. Fu Wenduo exposed a flaw and Tang Mo took advantage of it. Fu Wenduo easily blocked the blow. This was just Tang Mo's fake action as he slammed his foot towards Fu Wenduo. Fu Wenduo's eyes narrowed and he used both hands to grab the leg. At this point, he had already fallen into Tang Mo's rhythm. Tang Mo had learnt his own set of moves, using his fists and legs successively. Fu Wenduo tried to move backwards and Tang Mo punched at his head. Fu Wenduo was forced to bend over to escape. Tang Mo was already prepared. He raised his right foot and kicked up. But at this moment, he felt something cold buckle around his ankle, pulling his feet forward. Tang Mo couldn't react and was pulled to the ground. Fu Wenduo raised one hand to his neck while the other hand was at his ankles, folding his right leg up. His whole body suppressed Tang Mo's actions. The other person had broken through his strikes. Tang Mo's brow tightened. Fu Wenduo asked him, "Did you wear sneakers for the sake of movement?" Tang Mo didn't understand why this question was suddenly asked and nodded. Yes. It is more suitable for sports. Is it wrong? Sneakers really are more suitable for sports. This is why they are called sports shoes. Fu Wenduo explained. But when fighting with people, wearing this means you are half dead. Fu Wenduo's left hand pressed against Tang Mo's ankle, the cold temperature making Tang Mo frown. Fu Wenduo told him the reason. The ankle is a vulnerable part of the human body. If I used a knife to cut here, would you be able to stand up? Tang Mo looked at him with dismay. Fu Wenduo released his hand and got up from Tang Mo's body. We usually wear combat boots to protect our ankles while preventing other things from entering the shoes. In any case, it is impossible to wear sneakers. He paused before turning to look at Tang Mo. It is dark. Will you come tomorrow? Tang Mo was silent for a moment. Then he got up and patted the grass and dirt off his body. I will come. Good. I will see you in the afternoon at the clothing store. In the dark night, the two of them returned to the mall before separating. Tang Mo looked at Fu Wenduo's figure disappearing into the night and slowly narrowed his eyes. Once he confirmed that the man was gone, he twisted his aching wrist. Damn, he hit this person and the person wasn't hurt. Instead, his own hand was shocked. Tang Mo wanted to learn fighting skills but he didn't think he would be beaten up for a whole afternoon by Fu Wenduo. If the two of them used abilities and props, it was uncertain who would win. Tang Mo was very confident in the A Fast Man ability. However, the difference between the two of them was too big when abilities couldn't be used. Based on fighting skills alone, Tang Mo couldn't beat Bai Ruoyao and Bai Ruoyao couldn't beat Fu Wenduo. As a result, Tang Mo was simply beaten into the ground by Fu Wenduo. This didn't make him discouraged. He returned to his car and thought for a long time, recalling some of the moves he learned from Fu Wenduo. He ended up staying up all night. The next afternoon, he went to the clothing store. Fu Wenduo had been waiting in the store for a while. He looked down and found that Tang Mo had changed into a pair of thick boots. Fu Wenduo smiled and asked, "The track field?" "Okay. Let's go." For half a month, Tang Mo felt the natural gap between a professional and amateur. The most terrible thing was that Tang Mo couldn't even be considered an amateur. From childhood to adulthood, he only fought a few times. But Fu Wenduo was a professional among professionals. Tang Mo was beaten by Fu Wenduo until even his mother wouldn't be able to recognize him. Although the two people weren't really serious about killing each other, Tang Mo started to gradually doubt if his physical fitness had improved. His physical fitness really had improved but it was the same for Fu Wenduo. In other words, the two of them fought and no one suddenly had an advantage. It was equal to an ordinary librarian who neglected exercising suddenly having to fight with the captain of the A Special Forces team. Fu Wenduo had a few tricks and Tang Mo's speed and strength were too strong, exceeding the limitations of his lacking skills. On the afternoon of the 15th day, the two of them had already fought dozens of rounds. Tang Mo once again threw dust. Fu Wenduo closed his eyes and Tang Mo aimed a punch at his temple. Fu Wenduo's lips curved and he calmly blocked the blow. His hand had just touched Tang Mo's fist when his lips fully stretched into a smile. Fu Wenduo raised his other hand and blocked Tang Mo's leg coming from the other side. At the same time, Tang Mo bent down. One hand placed against the ground while the other hand grabbed Fu Wenduo's hamstrings. Fu Wenduo was wearing a pair of black combat boots. Tang Mo didn't bother with his ankle, moving his hand to the knee to hold the hamstring and lift Fu Wenduo's leg. The two of them feel together. Due to the posture, Tang Mo's knee was on Fu Wenduo and he let out a sound. Tang Mo used the opportunity to press against Fu Wenduo's chest to stop him from standing up while his other hand grabbed Fu Wenduo's neck. Fu Wenduo couldn't escape and stopped grabbing his hand. The two men looked at each other. Under the yellow sunset, Fu Wenduo was on the ground. Tang Mo had one knee pressed to Fu Wenduo's chest while his other hand held the neck. After a few seconds, Tang Mo laughed. Master Fu, according to your statement, your hamstring. It was picked up by me, Noel. Fu Wenduo gazed at Tang Mo. Some time passed before he released the hand on Tang Mo's fist and confessed. Yes, it is broken, so I only have one foot left to stand up on. Tang Mo loosened his hands and lay down to rest. It seemed like Tang Mo won this time, but Tang Mo knew that if Fu Wenduo really wanted to win, he could. The fights between them was never about who wins. It was to let Tang Mo learn real fighting skills. After half a month of training, Tang Mo no longer had no knowledge of fighting. For now, perhaps he still couldn't beat Bai Ruoyao. However, Bai Ruoyao wouldn't succeed so easily if he attacked. At the very least, Tang Mo would strip off a layer of skin. Tang Mo knew that this wasn't a victory against Fu Wenduo, but he was still in a good mood. Anyone who had been beaten up for half a month and finally successfully counterattacked would be in a good mood. Tang Mo was no exception. It was dark and according to common sense, the two of them should go back to end today's training. Tang Mo lay on the ground to rest. His breathing calmed and he was ready to leave. At this moment, a low voice was heard in his ears. Will you come again? Tang Mo quickly replied. I will come again tomorrow. Fu Wenduo. He finally won a game and still wanted to come back. It won't happen again tomorrow. The two people cleaned the weeds and dust on their clothes and returned to the mall together. Tang Mo went to the underground parking lot. He hadn't reached the car he normally rested in when he saw Tang Qiao standing in a corner of the staircase. She seemed to be waiting for him. Tang Qiao said, Dr. Luo is looking for you. She paused and looked behind Tang Mo. Mr. Fu isn't with you. Tang Mo asked, Luo Fengcheng is also looking for him. Tang Qiao nodded. Dr. Luo told me to tell the both of you as soon as possible. Mr. Fu isn't here, so I can only forget it. I am meeting him tomorrow. Then you should go to Dr. Luo first. Tang Kaio said before turning to leave. Since Nie Feng and Yi Yuanza had died, Tang Qiao became more reticent. She knew Tang Mo, but once she finished Luo Fengcheng's message, she left without saying one word to Tang Mo. Tang Mo watched her before heading to the third floor of the underground parking lot. Luo Fengcheng had been waiting in his office for a while. Once he met Tang Mo, he asked, Major Fu isn't with you. I thought you were together these days. Tang Mo asked warily, how do you know? They deliberately looked for a track field where no one was present. Luo Fengcheng laughed. I don't know what you are doing after you leave the mall, but both of you will meet in the mall every day. It is easy to find out. Are you attacking instances together? This isn't a big possibility. The two of you together will make the game difficulty soar. It isn't worth the loss. This time Luo Fengcheng was wrong. Compared to the increased difficulty of the game, Tang Mo believed that his cooperation with Fu Wenduo would cause the team's strength to improve. But there was no need to say this to Luo Fengcheng. Tang Yimo spoke casually, "You are thinking too much. I just asked Major Fu to teach me some fighting skills." Luo Fengcheng was stunned before he said, "Now I am thinking even more." Then he changed the topic. "In fact, the matter this time is related to Major Fu. He isn't here so you can inform him." "What is it?" "Jack met a player from Nanjing yesterday and confirmed that Nanjing is China's 6th district." Tang Yimo never thought it would be this matter. In addition to fighting with Fu Wenduo, Tang Yimo had been clearing some simple S-type instances in his own time. He thought for a moment before saying, "Okay, I will tell Fu Wenduo tomorrow." Luo Fengcheng said, "After all, it is his surviving younger cousin. Major Fu might go to Nanjing to find him. However, Tang Yimo, can you also tell Major Fu that he might consider the assembly instance before leaving for Nanjing? It is a very interesting instance. Perhaps Major Fu will be interested." Tang Yimo asked with a strange expression, "What instance?" What instance would make Luo Fengcheng so sure that Fu Wenduo would be interested? Luo Fengcheng smiled. "It seems you didn't hear the notice from the Black Tower this morning. It is a very interesting instance." The next afternoon, Fu Wenduo arrived at the clothing store where Tang Yimo had already been waiting for a long time. Fu Wenduo was keenly aware that something was wrong and asked, "Is there something?" Tang Yimo got straight to the point. "Luo Fengcheng found me yesterday and told me that China's 6th district is confirmed as Nanjing. You cousin should be in Nanjing." Fu Wenduo didn't bat an eye. "Okay." Tang Yimo wondered, "Are you going to leave Shanghai for Nanjing?" Fu Wenduo looked at Tang Yimo. "I originally intended to attack the Black Tower's 3rd floor in 1 month and then leave Shanghai. Not, it seems I might have to leave earlier." This was likely Fu Wenduo's only family member alive in the world. Despite not being familiar with Fu Wensheng, they were still cousins. It was impossible to let his 11-year-old cousin to survive along in the dangerous game world. There was another meaning to Fu Wenduo's words. He would leave Shanghai and couldn't team up with Tang Yimo to attack the tower. Tang Yimo smiled. "Are you going back to Beijing?" Fu Wenduo pondered the question before nodded. "I will go to Nanjing first. If I can't find him, I will turn back to Beijing." He would rather stay in Beijing than the unfamiliar Shanghai. It was just like Tang Yimo. If things hadn't happened, he would have already returned to Suzhou. Tang Yimo said, "I am also going to Beijing." Fu Wenduo was surprised. Tang Mo's words were quite coincidental. Fu Wenduo just said he wanted to go back to Beijing and now Tang Yimo said he would go there. Normal people would think that Tang Yimo was following Fu Wenduo. However, Fu Wenduo knew that Tang Yimo wouldn't follow him all the way to the distant Beijing due to a verbal agreement. The relationship between the two of them wasn't that good. If Tang Yimo was really going to Beijing, there must be a bigger reason. Fu Wenduo's eyes narrowed and he asked in a calm tone, "Why?" Tang Yimo explained. "I have a university friend who is in Beijing. I've told you this already." Tang Yimo had spoken about this to Fu Wenduo the first time they met. Yet Fu Wenduo wondered, just for this. Going to a strange city thousands of kilometers away just for a friend. Tang Yimo said, "Major Fu, why are you looking for your cousin? You haven't seen him for over a year." "He is my cousin." Tang Yimo smiled. "He might be your last relative in the world. Similarly, my university friend is probably my last good friend in the world." It wasn't a friend but a good friend. In Tang Mo's heart, his affection towards Hao Zi and Lao Wang wasn't any worse than a relative. His parents died early and his two friends accompanied him during this time. Previously, Tang Yimo felt he wasn't strong enough and was worried about the dangers along the way. Now that he had the strength to go to Beijing, why couldn't he go? Fu Wenduo took a deep breath and looked at Tang Yimo, "Should we go together?" "Let's go together." Okay. Traveling together wasn't a game and the danger wouldn't increase. It would only make both people safer. Before going to Beijing, Tang Yimo remembered another thing. Ah yes, Fu Wen Duo, there is an assembly instance tomorrow morning. Do you want to participate? Fu Wen Duo raised an eyebrow. A new assembly instance. Sure enough, the reason why this person started the fight training in the afternoon was because he would go to instances in the morning. Therefore, he didn't hear the Black Tower's announcement. Tang Yimo explained. Luo Fengcheng told it to me. The new instance that the Black Tower released yesterday morning is very interesting. The time will be 8:31 a.m. on February 1st, the location is the Nanpu Bridge in the Huangpu district, the game reward is unknown and the game boss is the strange circus leader. Fu Wenduo seized the keyword. Strange circus. He thought that interesting that Tang Yamo was referring to was the strange circus that both of them had contact with. Tang Yamo saw his speculation and denied it. It isn't just because of the strange circus. It is the precondition for the players who want to enter this assembly instance. Fu Wenduo realized that the condition was the real point. What is the condition? One day ago. A crisp child's voice rang out all over Shanghai as the second assembly instance was released to all players in Shanghai. Ding dong. The assembly instance is open for a limited time. The game location. The strange circus of the underground kingdom. The game reward. Unknown. The game boss. The head of the strange circus. On February 1st at 8:31 a.m., players are invited to Huangpu District's Nanpu Bridge to participate in the game. Please note. Only players who have successfully cleared the Black Tower's first floor can enter the game. Please note. Only players who have successfully cleared. 8:31 a.m. on February 1st, next to Nanpu Bridge. Two black shadows quickly crossed from a building and hid behind an inconspicuous area under the bridge. Tang Yamo raised his wrist and looked at the watch. There is 1 minute left. Fu Wenduo said, be careful not to make any noise. Tang Yamo nodded. Their eyes were locked on the majestic bridge, wary of new enemies. But when the Black Tower prompted that there was 1 second before the game began, they didn't see anyone on the bridge. A dazzling white light flashed in front of their eyes and Tang Yamo calmly thought, there aren't many players in Shanghai who have cleared the first floor. Therefore, only a few players will have a choice to attack this assembly instance. However, a cheerful voice soon interrupted his guessing. It had a pleasant tone with a hint of gloating. Ding dong. Players Fu Wenduo and Tang Yamo have successfully entered the assembly instance Strange Circus Surprise Night. As of 8:31 a.m. on February 1st, a total of 23 players have successfully entered the dungeon. 21 players have cleared the Black Tower's first floor and 2 players have cleared the Black Tower's second floor. The public enemies effect has been triggered. Players Fu Wenduo and Tang Mo's code names are Mr. A and Mr. B, opening the public enemy mode. Tang Mo's eyes widened and he didn't have time to react and a louder voice rang in the ears of the 23 players who entered the game. Ding dong. You have entered the assembly instance Strange Circus Surprise Night. Tip. 2 months ago, the head of the circus captured 3 months and opened a magical monster show for them. It is still unknown who but someone let go one of the monsters. The monster show was reviled by the audience and the head of the circus almost became bankrupt. The poor leader is very angry and personally captured the escaped monster. In 7 days, he will hold a surprise night where he tears the monster apart in front of millions of viewers. This time, the head of the circus won't lose it again. It is because he hired the best detectives in the kingdom to escort them all the way. Releasing the main mission. All players, please take away the poor little monster from the hands of Mr. A and Mr. B. Bonus. If you kill the evil Mr. A or Mr. B, you can get a king's gold coin. Kill both of them and you can get 2 gold coins. Friendly reminder. The king's gold coin can be used to abstain from any Black Tower game. Tang Mo's scalp tingled. The public enemy's effect. 21 players who passed the Black Tower's first floor. Killing them to earn a king's gold coin. Tang Mo slowly turned his head to look at Fu Wenduo. He could almost hear the sound of his teeth gritting. He calmed down and stared at the letter hanging above Fu Wenduo's head. Mr. A. Fu Wenduo stared at the top of Tang Mo's head. Mr. B. The Black Tower's voice was heard in the two people's ears. Ding dong. Releasing the main mission. Mr. A and Mr. B stopped the circus leader's newly recaptured monster from being stolen by the bad guys for 7 days. The author has something to say. Tang Tang. MMP, I shouldn't be in a team with old Fu. 21 first floor Black Tower players are coming to kill us. Together. He also beat me up for half a month. Old Fu. Dear, I didn't beat you up. It is called a field battle. Tang Tang. If I personally kill him, can I get a king's gold coin? Chapter 66. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Once the Black Tower's explanation finished, Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo were no longer on Nanpu Bridge. The two people understood their situation at the fastest speed. They didn't panic and started to observe the situation they were in now. Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo took two ends and looked at both sides of the alley. They were in a narrow and dark alley that only allowed one person to enter and exit freely. Tang Mo checked one end of the alley and returned. There is a small river over there and I can't see anyone. Fu Wenduo also checked the other side. There is a street. Tang Mo's eyes lit up. There are very few people. Only 3 or 4 people passed by. They aren't dressed like players. They are more like people from the underground kingdom. Fu Wenduo raised his head and looked at the English letter flashing above Tang Mo's head. It looks like this letter can't be removed. As he spoke, he reached out and touched the B above Tang Mo's head. Unfortunately, his hand completely went through the letter and couldn't be touched. Tang Mo said, "You just heard it, Fu Wenduo. The 21 players who cleared the Black Tower's first floor against you and me." Fu Wenduo nodded. "I heard." Tang Mo looked certain. The 21 players have cleared the Black Tower's first floor. Last month, the Black Tower opened the Christmas Eve instance and many players were forced to attack the tower. According to my speculation, in the past 1.5 months, at least 1,000 players would have cleared the first floor of the Black Tower. Chen Shanshan was like this. Chen Shanshan is a member of Attack. It isn't surprising that there will be 21 Black Tower players in Shanghai who entered this instance. Fu Wenduo said, "The players at this stage don't have the same level." Tang Mo nodded. "Yes. Previously, I was on the second floor of the Black Tower. I met 2 people, your cousin and Bai Ruoyao. To be honest, your cousin is really smart but his strength isn't particularly outstanding. He should be a medium standard among the players on the first floor of the Black Tower. However, Bai Ruoyao is different. I think that although he is a player on the Black Tower's first floor, he has the strength of a second floor player. He just hasn't attacked the tower. There were many reasons not to attack the tower. In fact, most players didn't want to attack the tower. Even Tang Mo adhered to the principle of not attacking the tower. Every instance was caused by the Black Tower forcing him in. Tang Mo was noticed by the Black Tower due to Mario's Monopoly game, forcing him to attack the Black Tower. Later, he was once again noticed by the Black Tower due to the Iron Shoemaker game and was forced to participate in the Black Tower's second floor attack game. Bai Ruoyao was powerful but he didn't attack the tower. It wasn't impossible. As long as he didn't participate in a game and wasn't noticed by the tower, he wouldn't be forced to attack the tower. Tang Mo wasn't afraid of the players who cleared the Black Tower normally. He was worried about players like Bai Ruoyao whose strength were far above the floor they were on. There are 21 players. If they are all average, our chances of winning are already low. Let's say there are 1 or 2 at the level of Bai Ruoyao. Tang Mo's expression gradually stiffened. Fu Wenduo said, there are only 2 king's gold coins. Tang Mo was slightly stunned and looked at Fu Wenduo. Fu Wenduo pointed to himself and then to Tang Mo, 21 players, 2 king's gold coins. More meat and less. He trailed off like he thought comparing themselves to meat was strange. Then Fu Wenduo continued, Tang Mo, these 21 players aren't companions. There were only 2 king's gold coins but there were 21 players. In the Pinocchio game, Tang Mo's group of 8 competed for just 1 king's gold coin. 1 person died while 3 were sent to the tower attack game. Now it seemed easy to get the king's gold coins. They just had to kill Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo to get them. But could these players unite? There were only 2 gold coins. Tang Mo understood the meaning and didn't answer. He suddenly smiled. Are we companions? Fu Wenduo looked at Tang Mo calmly. Tang Mo asked, killing Mr. A will give a king's gold coin. Major Fu, if I kill you, can I get a king's gold coin? Fu Wenduo countered with a calm expression. Can I get a king's gold coin if I kill Mr. B? The 2 people looked at each other in the dark alley. A long time passed before Tang Mo suggested, 2v21, shall we do it? Fu Wenduo's lips curved. Let's do it. Since they decided to accept this extremely unfair game, Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo left the alley. They first tried various methods to see if they could hide the 2 English characters flashing above them. Unfortunately, the light of these letters couldn't be covered by the hands or clothes. The 2 people didn't force it. They carefully observed the environment outside the alley and left. Not many people were walking on the street. Those that were didn't look at Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo, nor did they seem to notice the 2 glowing letters. Tang Mo deliberately walked to a 2-meter tall man, exposing the B above his head to the man's eyes. The man glanced at Tang Mo while holding a jar of sweet honey and detoured around Tang Mo. Tang Mo wondered, they can't see the letters above our heads. Fu Wenduo took a moment to observe. It seems they can't see it. But this doesn't mean that players can't see it. Tang Mo nodded. Let's go to the strange circus first. Our mission is to ensure that the monster isn't stolen by players within these 7 days. First we have to find the monster. Tang Mo pulled out a thin advertisement leaflet from his backpack and Fu Wenduo looked at it curiously. Tang Mo explained, this is the advertisement I got about the strange circus. It has a map of the strange circus. Tang Mo pointed to the advertisement where there was a rough hand-drawn map in the lower right corner. The 2 people quickly recognized the road and followed the map to the circus. This advertisement had been obtained from Mario's hat when Tang Mo was playing the Happy Hamster game in Monster Valley. The smelly hat gave Tang Mo lots of strange garbage. Apart from some useless items, other props that seemed like they would play a role later were kept by Tang Mo. Fu Wenduo looked thoughtfully at the map and then Tang Mo's head. He seems to have guessed something. But in order to prevent himself from making this unfamiliar teammate angry and having to face 21 players alone, his lips just curved and he didn't say when he had guessed. With this map, Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo succeeded in finding the strange circus. They stood in front of the magnificent and tall circus, the huge dome tent exceeding Tang Mo's imagination as his eyes widened with astonishment. This huge tent seemed to cover the sky. Like the tents that every circus liked to use, colorful ribbons were tied around the tent. The breeze blew and the ribbons fluttered. They were in the bright colors that all children loved. However, this tent was too big. It was more like a huge building than a tent. Anyone would become a small insect compared to it. Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo stood in front of the circus and looked at each other. They didn't need to talk, both of them understanding what the other person meant. find a chance to sneak in. The two people hadn't left yet when a sharp voice was heard behind them. "Oh, you are finally here." Tang Mo's hand quickly grasped the small parasol while Fu Wenduo turned quietly, looking at the dwarf gnome running towards them. The dwarf trotted to Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo. He was less than a meter tall and only went up to Tang Mo's thighs. He wore a green hat and looked at Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo. He opened his mouth and tried to speak, but wasn't able to. Ah, achoo! A huge green snot bubble appeared from the dwarf's nose. He took a strong breath and sucked the disgusting snot back in. The dwarf wiped his nose and placed his hands on his hips, crying out with dissatisfaction. "Mr. A, Mr. B, we spend money on you. Why did you procrastinate and only arrive today?" His big bell-like eyes stared ferociously at the duo. He looked too funny and the previous appearance with the snot bubble was disgusting. Therefore, Tang Mo didn't feel any threat from his gaze. Tang Mo thought for a moment. "Do you know who we are?" The dwarf stomped on the ground. "Is there anything in the underground kingdom that I, Sneeze, doesn't know? You are Mr. A." He pointed towards Fu Wenduo. "And aren't you Mr. B?" He pointed to Tang Mo. Sneeze spoke proudly. "Do you think Sneeze is blind and don't know how to read? You can see it clearly written above your heads." Fu Wenduo's eyes widened. He pretended to be calm as he asked, "Oh. You can see the letters above our heads?" Sneeze replied, "Of course. But other people on the street didn't seem to see them." Sneeze suddenly became angry. "Can those stupid people compare to our strange circus employees? We all eat public food and have legitimate jobs. In the entire underground kingdom, only our circus staff can see the letters above your head. Is this a privilege that anyone can have?" Fu Wenduo asked, "Only you?" "Of course only." The voice stopped and Sneeze said bitterly, "Well, there are the bad guys who want to steal the monster. They can also see the letters above your heads." At these words, Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo's eyes narrowed, their brains working quickly. Tang Mo no longer wasted time with nonsense. "Where is the monster? Take us to it." They had to find the monster before the players. Sneeze said, "Ah, it isn't here." "What? The leader seized it yesterday and couldn't successfully sneak it from the monster world. Today, it is going to be secretly sent to our circus. Speaking of which, Mr. A and Mr. B, shouldn't you hurry to the dock to pick up the monster? If the bad guys steal the monster." Sneeze's eyes became frightened like he was thinking of something terrible. "The leader will kill us, the leader will kill us all." Sneeze panicked and ran 3 laps around Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo. After running 3 laps, Sneeze looked up and found that Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo were still in the same spot. He asked with surprise, "Aren't you going to the dock to pick up the monster?" Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo didn't know where the dock was. They stood in place, hiding their emotions as they quietly watched Sneeze. Sneeze saw their appearance and his face changed. He shouted for the duo to hurry and pick up the monster. But the two people didn't move. Sneeze finally couldn't bear it anymore. His face turned red and he made a depressed expression as he pulled out 5 copper coins from his pocket. "You are infuriating, asking for money. Here, this is the deposit the leader told me to give you. Go and pick up the monster, don't let the bad guys take it." Tang Mo took the copper coins. The two people still didn't move. Sneeze. A minute later, Sneeze cried out, "Okay, all 10 copper coins are for you. This is really all of the deposit that the leader gave me. You go and stop the monster from being stolen by the bad guys." Sneeze used his hands and directly pushed Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo outside. He didn't wait for Tang Mo to say anything. Sneeze fled back into the circus tent. He covered his heart like he was scared, pulled out a piece of silver from his pocket and smiled wickedly. Hee, this Sneeze is so smart and secretly hid it. Brush, the tent door opened, causing the frightened Sneeze to turn around and look. Tang Mo was showing a hint of surprise while Fu Wenduo stood behind him, staring at the dwarf from the tent holding. Sneeze stared transfixed at Tang Mo while holding a small silver coin in his hand. Tang Mo looked at the silver coin and said, "In fact, I wanted to ask you. How do we get to the dock?" Sneeze. 1 minute later, Tang Mo took the 1 silver and 10 coppers from Sneeze and headed to the dock. Fu Wenduo wondered, the king's gold coin allows us to abstain from a game. Will the silver coins and copper coins have any special effects? Tang Mo shook his head. I grabbed these coins and the Black Tower didn't give me any hints. For the time being, we don't know if these coins have any special effects. They might just be ordinary coins. Previously, Santa said that he only had 8 king's gold coins. The special coins wouldn't be so common. I am inclined to think that these coins are really just coins. Fu Wenduo slightly nodded. Tang Mo added, I previously received copper coins from Grandmother Wolf and the Black Tower prompted me to exchange the copper coins for a prop. In the eyes of the Black Tower, the copper coins are worth less than props. Fu Wenduo grabbed the key point, you are familiar with Grandmother Wolf. Tang Mo didn't ask and he hadn't told Tang Mo what he encountered in the Iron Shoemaker game. Tang Mo thought about it. That I'm a bit familiar. He seemed to be Grandmother Wolf's granddaughter. The two men didn't dwell on the subject. Halfway to the location, Tang Mo stopped and looked at a tailor's store. Tang Mo said, the Black Tower will still abide by a fairness principle. The opponents are 21 people while we only have 2 people. Before the game started, the Black Tower didn't disclose our names to the 21 players. It told them that we are Mr. A and Mr. B. Fu Wenduo added, at the same time, they don't know whether we are players or residents of the Underground Kingdom. They looked at each other before walking into the store. 10 minutes later, a tall and handsome bard and a knight in armor walked out of the tailor's store. A gray mask covered the lower half of Tang Mo's face, revealing only a pair of cold eyes. He wore a pointed gray hat with a white feather in the brim, high boots wrapped around his legs and a piccolo hanging from his waist. At first glance, he looked like a bard in a fairy tale. Tang Mo looked at Fu Wenduo. Fu Wenduo was tall and handsome in his mighty armor. Fu Wenduo really looked like a medieval knight with his armor and long sword hanging from the waist. However, he wore a silver helmet that completely covered his face. Therefore, he looked a bit strange and funny. Tang Mo thought that with his face mask, the players wouldn't be able to recognize him even if he was seen by them. He hadn't expected Fu Wenduo to also use this trick. He looked at the eccentric-looking knight and suddenly felt a little funny. He said, they did know that we are players and can mistakenly think that we are the underground people, causing them to lower their guards. But it isn't convenient to call ourselves by our names when disguised as an underground person. Tang Mo thought for a moment. How about I call you Tang Ji? Fu Wenduo's face was hidden by the helmet and Tang Mo couldn't see his expression. He heard a low voice coming from the helmet, you changed my name into something with your surname, Tang. Tang Mo knew that he misunderstood. It isn't the surname Tang, it is Tang Ji from Don Quixote. You are. He is also similar. TL. The first half of Don Quixote in Chinese is Tang Ji. He was a crazy and eccentric knight. Fu Wenduo contemplated. Your name is Victor. Tang Mo suddenly froze. He looked at Fu Wenduo, his eyes wide. His heart beat quickly as the name that had been buried deep in his heart suddenly entered his mind again. An unknown emotion emerged in his heart. After a long time, Tang Mo asked, why am I called this? Fu Wenduo's face was covered by the helmet but Tang Mo felt that this person's gaze was on him. Fu Wenduo quickly answered, the end of Christmas, the red-soaked star. Martial song, to Viktor Voriskursky. You are a bard, so this name is very suitable. Tang Mo slowly recovered and he smiled. Okay, I will be called Victor. Come on Tang Ji, let's go find the monster. The author has something to say. Old Fu. Good exchange of names. My surname is Tang, you are called Victor. Tang Tang. Who exchanged names with you? Chapter 67. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Earth is Online. Chapter 67. Chapter 67. Tang Mo spent 2 copper coins and bought the specific location of the dock from a burly man wearing a flower skirt. The strange circus would hold a surprise night show in 7 days. They rented the best part of the underground kingdom and set up a tent in the most crowded square in the center of the kingdom. The dock was 5 kilometers away. Tang Mo walked for 20 minutes and saw the canvas of ships at the dock. He turned to look at Fu Wenduo and the two of them nodded. Tang Mo tightened his mask, put his hands in his pockets and walked briskly to the dock. Fu Wenduo disappeared from his side. Tang Mo headed to the dock, keeping an eye on everything around him. He was always alert for possible players. However, once he observed the people around him, he couldn't find any players. Everything was calm and Tang Mo successfully walked to a huge ship. He took a look at the eye-catching, strange circus on the canvas and walked onto the deck. This is the strange circus ship. The moment he spoke, 2 circus members working on the deck turned to look at Tang Mo. Once they saw the letter floating above Tang Mo's head, they rushed over. One person cried out angrily, "How long has it been? Why are you only coming now? Sneeze has already come to you. Mr. B, we gave you money, so don't be lazy. Where is Mr. A? Tang Mo said softly, his stomach hurts and he went to the toilet. The tall circus member waved his hands. Hurry up and take that monster away. It is noisy and I can't get a good night's sleep. The leader has gone to the palace to give a letter of invitation to the respected king and queen. Before he left, he told me not to bring that disgusting monster to the circus before the surprise night. He received information that thieves are trying to steal the monster and that they had set up a lot of traps near the circus. Tang Mo frowned. We can't bring the monster to the circus for the next 7 days. The short circus member interjected. Of course. Those thieves have set up traps. Do you want to send the monster to them? Then I can only bring the monster to the circus on the 7th day. The tall employee said, to be precise, it is the evening of the 7th day. The short employee added, it can't be 1 second early. Then the tall employee said, the cage of the monster is right over there. I will kindly remind you that this monster is very afraid of light. If you put it in the light for 10 minutes, it will dehydrate and die. Don't let it die, otherwise the leader will dissect you. Tang Mo replied, I know. Tang Mo strode to a carriage. The huge carriage was 3 meters high, 2 meters wide and 4 meters long. It was heavily placed on the deck of the ship. Tang Mo tried to pull it using 50% of his strength and unexpectedly pulled it only half a meter. As he pulled, there was a dull crash inside the carriage, as if something had stupidly hit the wall of the carriage. Tang Mo pondered for a moment before turning to ask, what about a horse? It was a carriage without a horse. There was only a black cage covered by a heavy cloth. Upon hearing this, the tall employee cried out angrily, wow, you want a horse? We are good enough to provide you with a vehicle and now you want a horse. The short man pulled him back. Ignore him. He is a detective who can't even pull the carriage by hand. I don't know why the leader who paid such a high salary to watch this monster. If you say something then we will have to keep looking after it. Isn't it a monster? Can't you let it run? If anyone tries to steal it, punch their noses. The 2 circus members no longer paid attention to Tang Mo. They talked about drinking at the banana pub in the evening. Tang Mo wasn't interested in them. He pulled the carriage with both hands and applied a bit of force. The heavy weight inside hit the wall of the cave again. Tang Yamo soon stabilized his speed, pulling the carriage off the boat. The monster was too heavy, so Tang Yamo didn't walk fast. Every step on the ground left a half-centimeter deep footprint. The wheels slid across the ground, leaving 2 deep tracks in the earth. After Tang Yamo adapted to the weight, he gradually accelerated and moved away from the dock. Along the way, many people looked on curiously, wanting to see what was in the cage. Tang Yamo had the mask and walked calmly in front of so many people. Suddenly, he glanced at a small middle-aged man in the crowd. The middle-aged man didn't think that Tang Yamo would suddenly look at him among so many people. The man's eyes changed and he ran away. Tang Yamo kept pulling while his lips curved, a faint smile appearing under the mask as he looked at the man running away. After a long time, the huge carriage left the dock. Tang Yamo took a few turns in the street and disappeared into a winding alley. He placed the carriage and cage in an abandoned building. Tang Yamo twisted his neck, loosened his body and sat on the ground to rest. He waited patiently and 10 minutes later, 2 men were thrown onto the ground. Tang Yamo looked at the 2 people, then he looked up at Fu Wenduo. Just 2. An eccentric knight in armor emerged from the darkness. He only had 1 accomplice. He walked around the dock for 5 minutes before finding his partner. Then I grabbed them. Tang Yamo touched the mask on his face and determined that his face couldn't be seen. He walked up to the 2 players and kicked them. He wanted to speak, only to realize that he should act more like an underground person. Various bosses flashed through his mind, such as Mosaic, Mario, Pinocchio, Santa. In the end, Tang Yamo thought of a player. He was silent for a moment before deciding to imitate this person. Tang Yamo inwardly sighed before giggling. You are the thief who wants to steal the monster. The 2 players were beaten by Fu Wenduo, but they were still in a physically good state. Fu Wenduo didn't deal a fatal injury. The 2 men turned and looked at each other. The short man said first, "What monster? We aren't thieves. Who are you? Why are you hitting us and tying us up? We are citizens of the underground kingdom. You are violated our civil rights and will be wanted by guards of the kingdom." Civil rights of the underground people. Tang Yamo didn't expect these 2 players to actually know so many things. However, they had already cleared the first floor of the Black Tower. It was normal for them to know this information. Tang Yamo continued to imitate Bai Ruoyao, a disgusting smile on his face as he picked up a wooden stick and poked the players' faces. You want to steal things? The kingdom's guards will catch you first, not us. What makes you think we are going to steal something? Yes. What have we stolen from you? From beginning to end, the 2 players didn't look above Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo's heads. They really couldn't seem to see the letter floating above Tang Mo's head, acting like citizens of the underground kingdom. Tang Yamo wanted to speak when Fu Wenduo asked directly, if we let them go, they will continue trying to steal the monster. Victor, shall we kill them? Tang Yamo was slightly startled. It took a few seconds for him to react to being called Victor. Tang Yamo ignored the strange feeling squeezing his heart and agreed. Then kill them, Tang Ji. The 2 players opened their eyes in a startled manner. Don't kill us. We really aren't trying to steal anything. We are just ordinary citizens. Bang! Bang! Fu Wenduo held 2 sharp knives in his hands and directly stunned the 2 players. Tang Yamo confirmed that the 2 players had fainted and sighed, no longer pretending to be Bai Ruoyao. He turned to look at Fu Wenduo. Do you have any injuries? No. Tang Yamo looked down at the 2 players and frowned. I thought we would catch a few more players. I didn't expect only 2 people. The other players hid too well. They just quietly watched me at the dock but didn't show themselves. Only this person. Tang Yamo stared at the short man. He was stupid enough to expose himself. Before entering the dock, Tang Mo had separate from Fu Wenduo. One person was in the light while one person was in the darkness, splitting up their actions. The reason for splitting up was to put psychological pressure on the 21 players. Tang Mo openly appeared on the dock and he was worth a king's gold coin. If the 21 players wanted to grab the monster at the start and only saw Tang Mo, they might not act. It was because they didn't know where Mr. A was hiding and they needed to be careful. Secondly, Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo wanted to see some players and reduce the number of opponents. On the way to the dock, Tang Mo discovered that news about the strange circus sneaking the monster in had spread through the underground kingdom. All the citizens knew that the strange monster was about to arrive at the dock. It was very likely that the 21 players had also received the news. As long as they knew about it, they would go to the dock to check the situation. Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo couldn't hide their identities with the 2 letters above their heads, but it was possible for the players. They could hide at the dock, secretly observing their future opponents for more information. Tang Mo couldn't find them but they could clearly see Tang Mo. Only this short man. Everyone was more curious about the carriage I was pulling and wanted to know what type of monster was in the cage. Except this guy. Tang Mo took off the mask and sighed helplessly. His line of sight stopped on my body for a minute. He wanted to watch me more than the box and see what type of strength the king's gold coin has. Fu Wenduo said, "It is a pity that out of the 21 players, only he is so stupid." Tang Mo asked, "What about the strength of these 2 people?" "Not very good. In pure strength, this person is a bit worse than Jack." Fu Wenduo pointed to the tall man. Then he evaluated the short man. "This man has very poor strength and his ability is a flying sparrow. The sparrow is very noisy and seems to use sonic attacks. I took care of it quickly and didn't receive any impact." Tang Mo speculated, "It seems that these 2 players will be average among those who cleared the first floor." Tang Mo paused before looking at Fu Wenduo. "You don't need to take off the helmet to breath." The cumbersome silver helmet hid the man's face. Fu Wenduo replied in a low voice, "No, there are no players nearby." Just now, Tang Mo deliberately used a fast man to avoid the players tracking him. It could only be used 3 times a day but in order to escape from the players, Tang Mo used this ability to speed up and come to this abandoned building. Fu Wenduo said, "This helmet is too heavy and it isn't good to wear. So he might as well not take it off." Tang Mo. The 2 players were passed out and the sky was getting darker. At this time, Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo finally got a chance to see what the monster looked like. The 2 people went to the huge cage. Fu Wenduo held a corner of the black cloth and turned to look at Tang Mo. Tang Mo said, "You open it." The next moment, the black cloth was quickly pulled and the monster in the cage appeared before the 2 people. In the dim light, a giant snake-like monster bent over in the cage, foolishly trying to head but the steel bars to escape. This silly monster froze when the black cloth was pulled off and took 5 minutes to react. It suddenly raised its head and looked at the 2 people in front of it. Tang Mo was already psychologically prepared. He sighed in his heart when he saw this monster. Fu Wenduo's gaze swept over the body of the large earthworm. "It is an earthworm." "Yes, it is a big earthworm." Fu Wenduo nodded. "This earthworm is really a bit too big. There is value in showing it as a treasure of the circus." "But..." His voice abruptly stopped. Fu Wenduo paused for a long time before asking in surprise, "Did you hear that voice just now?" Tang Mo's face had no expression. "I heard it." Fu Wenduo was keenly aware of Tang Mo's speechlessness and asked, "Do you know this big earthworm?" Tang Mo looked meaningfully at the crying earthworm and said, "I know it. 2 months ago, I participated in an S.type instance, a level assigned by Luo Fengcheng. The main task of the instance was to kill the circus member guarding the earthworm and I finally let the earthworm go. Is this the one you let go? If I'm not mistaken, it really is the one I let go. Tang Yamo looked at the big earthworm. It is so stupid and big. There shouldn't be a second one like it. Fu Wendua's voice was calm. Tell me about that instance. Tang Yamo truthfully explained. In the dark building, the big earthworm kept crying that it was hungry and it wanted to see its mother. If someone looked carefully, they would find that this crying earthworm wasn't shedding a single tear. They were purely false cries. But it cried as if it was real, banging its head against the cage. When it was tired, it took a break before continuing. Once he found that the monster to be protected was the big earthworm, Tang Yamo certainly wouldn't hide things about the Kill Bill instance. Every detail of the instance might be important information and he would share it with his teammates to avoid any cooperation errors in the next 7 days due to a lack of information. At the same time, a cabin next to the dock. 5 players were gathered together around a square sand table. A young woman with short hair flattened the sand table, picked up a branch and started drawing on the sand. She drew quickly and several lines appeared. The most amazing thing was that as she drew, a map of the underground kingdom slowly appeared on the sand table. This wasn't a complete map of the kingdom. It was in the form of a long strip, starting from the dock and reaching a wide street. After finishing the last stroke, the woman with short hair put her hand up and said, "He disappeared here. I was following him with Old Lee, but in the blink of an eye, he disappeared and vanished into thin air." The middle-aged man called Old Lee agreed. "Yes, I promise that I didn't blink. He just disappeared in the middle of the road." Among the 5, a gentle man with glasses thought for a moment before saying, "I have met a very fast black tower monster before." The short-haired woman looked at him. "Captain, what do we do next? We have lost him. I can guarantee that I am not the only one who lost him. The other teams must have lost him as well. Apart from us, there are 3 other groups following Mr. B. It is conservatively estimated that there are at least 5 teams in this assembly instance." A young man was puzzled. 5 teams. Weren't there only 4 teams tracking Mr. B? Old Lee smiled. "You are being stupid again. Xiao Chen, there was a man on the dock who was discovered by Mr. B. I think that Mr. A and Mr. B would have taken care of him. If he had a companion, it would be even worse. He might go to his partner. Assuming that A and B are smart, they won't catch him first. They will wait until he finds his teammate before catching him. If he is a lone person, it is fine and he won't drag down his teammate. But there are few single people in this assembly instance. I'm guessing we are all in groups. Their team has probably been killed by the 2 underground detectives." Xiao Chen touched his head. "Hey, I'm not in charge of this. This type of thing, you can ask the captain and Sister Lin. I just fight." The 5 people laughed. The glasses man slowly smiled. Then he reached out and drew a circle on the sand map. The circle he drew was near the street where Tang Mo disappeared. After drawing this circle, he thought for a moment before erasing it and drawing a bigger circle. He said, "The reason behind disappearing here is definitely deep. It is very likely that Mr. A and Mr. B will be in this area. The circus is over here. Keep watching the circus in case they send the monster to the circus. The others will come with me to explore this neighborhood tomorrow." "Okay." The short-haired woman called Lin Yu looked down carefully at the circle drawn by the glasses man. After a long time, she asked, "Are Mr. A and Mr. B really underground people?" "Captain, I just thought that they might be players like us." The glasses man narrowed his eyes. "The possibility is too low." Old Lee said, "Xiao Lin, the assembly instance of the Strange Circus Surprise Night only allows players who have cleared the first floor to enter. In other words, all 21 players have at least cleared the first floor of the Black Tower. There might be a big person who cleared the second floor. In this world, there is no one who had cleared the third floor of the Black Tower yet. The most powerful players have only cleared the Black Tower's second floor. If Mr. A and Mr. B are 2 players, they will have to face at least 21 Black Tower players. It is impossible to win, even if they have cleared the second floor. Xiao Chen added. Yes, as the captain has said, fairness is the most important principle of a Black Tower game. It is impossible for 2 players to compete with our 21 players. Unless the Black Tower thinks that 2 players can defeat 21 people. But how is that possible? Even if they are players who have cleared the second floor, it is impossible. I don't believe that the difference between the first and second floors are so big. Lin Yi nodded. I was just casually speculating. Old Li laughed. Is it the sixth sense of a woman? You don't have to say it. It is really good that there is a woman in the team, he. Hey. The young woman withdrew her feet. She coldly left the cabin and headed in the direction of the circus. A private room in the banana pub. In the narrow and dimly lit room, there was a thick and blood smell. Oh, the entire banana pub smelt like this. As the sky darkened, countless underground people poured into this famous pub to order the spicy banana wine. The pub was filled with the sweaty odor of men, mixed with a trace of feet. In the room, a bald man was drinking from a barrel of banana wine. Once he finished drinking, a broken hand was revealed with a ring on the middle finger. The bald man pulled off the ring, while the beautiful young man next to him looked at it curiously. The banana pub really isn't careful. The bald man pushed the teenager away. Get lost, I am drinking. Don't you know that underage people can drink? The young man licked his teeth. I have killed people yet I can't drink. The bald man ignored him. 4 people sat in this private room. Apart from the teenager, the other 3 people had ordered banana wine. A young woman picked up the glass, tasted it before putting it aside. She asked, is it really okay if we don't follow Mr. B today? If he hides the monster and sends it to the circus on the last day, the chances of succeeding will become lower. We didn't follow, but there are 4 teams. The bald man wanted to learn the basics of an underground person and tried to eat this hand. But he only took a bite before quickly putting it aside. He couldn't eat this type of thing, although drinking blood wine was fine. They just have to track them. They will track Mr. B and we will kill them. Then won't we know where Mr. B is? The pretty teenager clapped excitedly at these reasonable words. Who are we going to kill tomorrow? I put bugs on 3 idiots. Just pick randomly. Who do you want to kill? The woman folded her arms and stared coldly at the 3 people in front of her. Mr. B, I feel he is a bit familiar, as if I had seen him somewhere before. The bald man looked at her. Have you seen this boss? Which instance was it? The woman thought for a moment. I don't remember. I've participated in too many instances. The middle-aged man who had never spoken finally opened his mouth. That Mr. covered half his face and he looked good. Hey, he has a little white face. Tut, shouldn't you remember being able to see this white face? The woman cried out angrily, get lost. The bald man smoothed things over. Okay, the underground people look no different from humans. This appearance is possible. The little white face's eyes look like someone from China. What was he called? That popular one, my ex-girlfriend liked him. The teenager smiled dangerously. I want to kill him, dig his eyes out, slowly ruin his appearance. The young woman stared at the 3 people before getting up and leaving the foul banana pub. A similar situation occurred in many places. Some teams had 3 people and some had 4. They gathered together to discuss the next day's response. The fast man ability was too great. Tang Yimo shook off all the tracking and also grabbed 2 players directly with Fu Wen Duo. On the first day, they succeeded in hiding the big earthworm and making the 21 players feel surprised. Due to their physical improvement, there wasn't a need to sleep. Fu Wenduo sat down on the ground next to the cage, not knowing what he was thinking. Tang Yamo saw that he didn't move for a long time and thought he was sleeping inside the helmet. Tang Yamo walked softly to the cage and looked down at the huge earthworm. The earthworm's actions in the cage stopped. The extremely ugly head looked at Tang Yamo, as if trying to recognize who he was. Tang Yamo stood quietly, letting the big earthworm look at him. The big earthworm tilted its head and stared for a long time. Suddenly, its head rubbed against the steel bars of the cage as if it wanted to touch Tang Yamo. It seemed to recognize him. Tang Yamo reached out and touched the big earthworm's head. He secretly wondered if he managed to get a drop of the earthworm's tears, would it become a prop that could heal wounds? Tang Yamo started to think about how to get a drop of the earthworm's tears. Then a voice rang out in the room. Who is this underground person? He looks a bit familiar. I'm hungry, I want to eat. His hand looks delicious. Tang Yamo. He pulled his hand back as the earthworm bit at it. Tang Yamo stared into the eyes of this big earthworm. Tang Yamo wasn't wearing a mask. It had only been 2 months yet this earthworm couldn't recognize its savior and tried to eat the hands of the savior. This time Tang Yamo no longer hesitated. He would beat up this earthworm and get a drop of tears from it. Let's see if the new tears could heal wounds. At this moment, a dull laugh came from the side. Tang Yamo turned and looked. You weren't sleeping. The knight leisurely raised his head and looked at Tang Yamo. I can't sleep for 7 days. The implication was that he wouldn't be sleeping for the next 7 days. Tang Yamo coughed twice. Now we have hidden this earthworm. The players shouldn't make too much noise for the first 4 days. They think we are underground people and this is the underground kingdom. It is our territory and they won't act rashly. They will try to obtain more information. The last day is the real decisive game. On the 7th day, we have to send the big earthworm to the circus. They will know our position and attack. Fu Wenduo nodded. Do you want to rest? Tang Yamo could go without sleep for a long time. However, not sleeping for 7 days in a row put a certain pressure on him. He said, I'll sleep for a while. I will keep watch. Tang Yamo went straight to Fu Wenduo's side and sat down. He leaned against a broken pillar and closed his eyes to sleep. He needed to stay with his teammate. It was better to be close so that if there was a surprise attack, the two of them could act together. In the dark night, the big earthworm hit the cage before slowly falling asleep. Tang Yamo was originally leaning against the pillar to sleep with Fu Wenduo beside him. Fu Wenduo was covered with armor and not a single bit of skin was exposed. Suddenly, a head leaned on his shoulder. Fu Wenduo was surprised. The next second, he calmly stretched out a hand and pushed Tang Mo's face back. Tang Yamo. Tang Yamo had woken up when he accidentally fell on Fu Wenduo's shoulder. He had already slept enough and didn't want to sleep anymore. However, Fu Wenduo so bluntly pushed his head back that Tang Yamo was too embarrassed to wake up at this moment. Tang Mo's head leaned against the pillar and he continued to sleep. Night passed and the sun shone on the earth. Tang Yamo opened his eyes, picked up the black cloth and directly covered the cage. The big earthworm's snoring stopped. It was silent for a moment before remembering the situation. It started banging on the cage again, crying out, so hungry, Mom. Before rushing to eat Tang Mo's hand, it hadn't eaten anything in 3 days so it must be hungry. The next day, Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo took a closer look at the surrounding environment. They didn't find any players and it seemed like the players hadn't found this small building. Tang Yamo said, the preliminary plan was successfully. As long as there are no accidents, they won't be able to find this place. It was too far away from where Tang Yamo had disappeared, almost halfway across the capital of the underground kingdom. The most important part of this game isn't how to defeat the 21 players. It is to send the big earthworm to the circus. The bottom line is how to send the big earthworm to the circus in 6 days. In fact, Tang Mo never intended to confront the 21 players directly. He was confident that he could break through 19 players, 2 were caught by them. However, there was only a 10% chance of beating so many players. If he added Fu Wen Duo, it was a 30% chance. What he wanted was to win the game. The game was halfway there and the last half would be on the 7th day. Tang Mo had already come up with an idea. When I cleared the S.type instance, I found that this earthworm has a characteristic. It can dig a hole very quickly. So in these 6 days, we can. A clear child's voice interrupted Tang Mo's words. He listened to the sound with a sinking heart. Ding dong. As the most powerful detectives in the underground kingdom, the clever Mr. A and Mr. B have played the stupid thieves. The 21 human players are outraged and didn't know that Mr. A and Mr. B were never looking at them. Stupid humans, this is all you have. The detective's contempt effect is triggered. The detective's contempt activates every 3 days at noon. The 21 players can learn the location of the monster. Ding dong. Youths from Earth, bravely defeat Mr. A and Mark B and help save the poor monster. Fu Wen Duo. Tang Mo. The author has something to say. Tang Tang. MMP, don't stop me. I want to kill the Black Tower. I accidentally leaned on old Fu's shoulder and he pushed me away. Now the Black Tower is also making trouble for me. Old Fu, hashtag I actually pushed my wife's face hashtag. Chapter 68. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A wooden cabin next to the dock. Once the Black Tower's words ended, the 4 people in the room stood in place and stared at each other with amazement. The 4 people had just been about to go out. It was dawn and Lin Yi was still lurking around the circus, staring at any movements inside. The other 4 people were divided into groups and they were going to search carefully around the place where Mr. B disappeared yesterday. They hadn't yet left when they received the hint from the Black Tower. The man in glasses calmed down and looked at his teammates. Did you hear the Black Tower's prompt just now? The 3 men nodded. The glasses man said, today is the 2nd day and the strange circus surprise night will take place 6 days later. The Black Tower said that we triggered the detective's contempt. The position of the monster will be announced every 3 days, which means it will announce the location twice in the next 6 days. Old Lee immediately asked, Captain, does this mean we don't need to search for the monster today? The glasses man thought for a long time before replying, no. The Black Tower giving us this clue actually points to 3 things. First, we triggered this effect because the players are currently at a disadvantage and can't compete with the 2 Black Tower bosses. It gave players preferential treatment in order to make the game fair. Secondly, the Black Tower will give the location of the monster, which means. The glasses man walked to the sand table in the middle of the room. His 3 teammates followed him. They saw the glasses man reach out towards the circle he drew himself last night. When the 5 of them were discussing countermeasures, he drew 2 circles in the place where Mr. B disappeared. The first circle was relatively small. Then after taking into consideration Mr. B's exceptional abilities, the glasses man deleted the circle and drew a second larger one. Today, the 4 of them were planning to look for Mr. A and Mr. B in this circle. The glasses man speculated, since the Black Tower took the initiative to tell us the location of the monster, it shows one thing. There is a 80% chance that we can't find the location of the monster on our own. He smashed the circle that he drew. The monster isn't in here at all. Mr. B's strength is beyond my wildest imagination. He didn't disappear here because he hid the monster nearby, but because the location allowed him to disappear. His teammates looked at him blankly. Captain, what does this mean? The glasses man explained, Old Lee, yesterday you and Xiao Yi tracked Mr. B. On the dock, we all saw that the monster's carriage was very heavy. Every one of Mr. B's steps left deep footprints and the carriage's tracks were left in the ground. It could be found in an instant. Right. Oldley nodded. Yes. The monster is really big and heavy. Everyone on the dock was watching. The glasses man pointed to the pile of sand that had just been smashed into the ground. Mr. B was pulling the heavy carriage, causing him to leave footprints. The footprints and tracks on the ground didn't disappear no matter how fast he runs. So from the pier to here. He drew the spot with a bit of sand. He didn't run all the way. In addition, the street where he disappeared is one of the rare stone streets in the underground kingdom, not a dirt one. Oldley reacted at once. He suddenly disappeared here because he didn't want to leave any footprints for us to follow. In fact, they should have thought of it before. It was because they thought that Mr. B's hiding place was nearby that they ignored this key information. I underestimated Mr. B's strength. The glasses man blamed himself. If I guess correctly, he could pull the monster's carriage to any place in the underground capital and the Black Tower thinks we won't be able to find it in 3 days. Of course, this point is actually beneficial. Mr. B's present hiding place must be a place that is near a stone road. He can't go down any dirt road otherwise he would leave footprints and the carriage tracks. Oldley, Xiao Chen, Brother Hao, in the next 3 days, we will follow every stone road in the capital. Perhaps we might be able to find Mr. A, Mr. B and the monster. Okay. After the task for the next few days was explained, Xiao Chen asked curiously, Captain, you said that the detectives' contempt points to 3 things. You said 2 things. The Black Tower believes that the players are at a disadvantage and Mr. B hid the monster in the place accessible by stone roads. Then what is the 3rd thing? The man pushed his glasses up and asked, you didn't hear the Black Tower say that Mr. A and Mr. B is playing around with 21 players. The other 3 players were stunned. The glasses man sighed. 23 players became 21 overnight. It has decreased by 2 people. What does this mean? It means the man on the dock yesterday had a teammate and he and his teammate were killed by Mr. A and Mr. B. The 2nd floor of an abandoned building. When Wang Yingue woke up, he opened his eyes to darkness. Wang Yingue was so frightened that he wanted to stand up and run away. However, he just placed his hand on the ground to stand up when he bumped into something. He cried out and fell back. He soon remembered what happened before he fell unconscious. He was caught by Mr. A. Yesterday at the dock, Mr. B had suddenly looked at him. Wang Yingue was scared and turned to run. He walked around the dock for 5 minutes before finding his teammate. He thought that Mr. B had forgotten about him, only to be caught by Mr. A when he just met his teammates. Wang Yingue couldn't understand it. He hadn't done anything special yet Mr. A and Mr. B discovered his identity with one glance. Could he have an identifying marker about his head like Mr. A and Mr. B? But he didn't have anything about his head. Wang Yingue was puzzled. After being discovered by Mr. A, he and his teammate didn't have the power to fight back. In less than a minute, they were overpowered by Mr. A. No, the old Niao and I pretended not to know who they are and pretended not to see the letters above their heads. How are they so sure that we are players, that we are thieves? Wang Yingue thought for a long time before suddenly realizing, wait, where is this place? Am I dead? No, I'm not dead. I'm still alive. Wang Yingue reached around in the darkness and soon touched the end of this space. It was a small cage, so small that he couldn't stand up or he would hit his head. He was imprisoned here and couldn't act at all. He hesitated before whispering, Old Niao. Silence answered him. Wang Yingue again asked, Old Niao, are you there? Old Niao. After shouting for a long time, a dull snoring was heard beside him. Wang Yingue tried to rush over but was blocked by the cage. He shouted "Bold Miao" several times and his teammate finally woke up. Wang Yingui told his teammate about the current situation. Old Miao moved around for a long time before saying, "I am also locked in a small cage that I can't stand up in." Wang Yingui replied, "You say that, but where the hell are we? Why didn't Mr. A and Mr. B kill us?" He didn't kill us because he probably still has some use for us. Old Miao racked his brain before analyzing, right, the underground people don't like to eat players like the monsters do. They must be selling us for money. In the banana pub's assembly instance last month, the banana wine was brewed from bodies. They must have sold us there. This is a mess, old Ing. Wang Yingui was worried about death and was going to comfort his teammate. Then he heard a strange sound. There seemed to be something banging on the ground and moving towards them. Listening to the sound, it was definitely a monster. Its footsteps hit the ground, causing the two people's cage to slightly shake. Olding gulped and asked, "Did you hear that?" "Yes, I heard it." "What is it?" Old Miao replied, "I don't know, this is." Chirp. A surprise sound was heard in front of the two men. The sound was so close it was as if the monster was standing before them. Wang Yingui and his teammate were in the dark and their vision hadn't evolved to seeing things without a light source. The two men screamed in horror, their voices making the thing even more excited. It started to use their cages as play toys, throwing them into the air before catching them. In the monster's cage, the screams of Wang Yingui and his teammate endlessly rang out. Outside the cage, a strange expression crossed his face when Tang Mo heard Old Miao saying, "Mr. B and Mr. A didn't kill us in order to sell us for money." He shook his head helplessly when he heard the screams of the two men being toyed with by the monster. So stupid even after the Earth went online. They are stupid yet managed to clear the Black Tower's first floor. Their luck must be really good. The luck of these two players really was very good. Tang Mo listened when Fu Wenduo said that the two men weren't very strong and they were only at the average level in the attack organization. Attack currently only had only player who cleared the Black Tower's first floor, Chen Shanshan. The other players, including Jack and Tang Qiao, were under strict orders from Luo Fengqing to only challenge the Black Tower in 2 months in order to prevent any accidents. The two players' strength wasn't too high and based on their conversation just now, they weren't too smart. It was likely that they passed the Black Tower due to luck. For example, after entering the game, they met a good teammate. If they were lucky enough not to die, they would be able to follow the teammate to clear the floor. In addition, they were even more fortunate in this game that the real Mr. A and Mr. B were Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo, not the underground people. The real underground people would kill them directly instead of locking them up. In fact, killing the two people was the best situation. If they were killed, there would be 2 less enemies and fewer worries. However, Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo didn't choose this way. Instead, they locked the 2 unconscious people into cages and now had to waste energy guarding them. Their miserable cries were still heard from the cage. Tang Mo leaned against a pillar and pondered, "It will be quiet if we kill them." His mouth said so, but Tang Mo remained still, not taking any actions. At noon, Fu Wenduo came back from the outside and Tang Mo immediately went up to him. "How is it?" Fu Wenduo's voice came from under the heavy helmet. "There are around 3 people. 2 are well hidden and I couldn't see their specific number and location. 1 is a middle-aged man." He picked up a stone from the ground and quickly drew a map on the wall. He drew quickly. It might be a simple map, but he marked each position clearly. It was a map of the area around the strange circus. Here and here, there are 2 people hiding. Fu Wenduo used the stone to make a small 3-story building behind the circus. Here, the middle-aged man is hiding on the 3rd floor. Tang Mo asked, "Did they see you?" "The person hiding in this location likely saw me." He pointed to a bush next to the square. When I left the circus, she wanted to follow me but I lost her. Originally, Tang Mo and Fu Wen duo would settle down for the first 6 days before sending the large earthworm to the circus on the 7th day. However, the heavens wasn't good to them and the Black Tower gave the detectives contempt effect. This disrupted Tang Mo's plan. Therefore, Tang Mo changed the plan and had Fu Wen duo look around the circus. There must be players hiding there, watching the circus every move. There are only 3 people. Except for these 2 players, there are 19 players left. Tang Mo spoke in a light voice so that Wang Yingui and Old Niao couldn't hear from where they were being kicked away by the monster in the cage. Assuming that these 3 people have an average of 3-4 people on their team, they have around 10 people. There are still 9 people left who aren't monitoring the circus. What are they thinking? Fu Wenduo answered, perhaps there is a team with more than 4 people, reaching 5 or 6 people. 5 people is possible but 6 is a bit hard. Those who can enter this instance are all players who cleared the first floor of the Black Tower. It is too hard to form a team of 6 players who have all cleared the first floor. Tang Mo said, maybe there is a team of 5 people and maybe 2 teams gave up on monitoring the circus. Tang Mo picked up a stone and drew on the wall. These 3 people can be counted as 11 people. There are still 8 people left. There should be 2 or 3 teams who aren't monitoring the circus. Tang Mo looked at the numbers on the wall and fell into deep thought. He slowly turned his head and looked at Fu Wenduo. Fu Wenduo was wearing thick armor and a silver helmet. Tang Mo couldn't see his face but he felt like Fu Wenduo was looking at him right now. They stared at each other for a moment before Tang Mo asked, what circumstances would make them give up monitoring such an obvious place? Fu Wenduo replied calmly, they are unable to move freely or they are dead. Tang Mo was silent. It is really too much for 2 or 3 teams to give up on monitoring the circus. If it was me, I would arrange for people to go there early and lurk in the night. Fu Wenduo drew a circle 1 kilometer around the circus. It might be possible with 1 or 2 people, but for 7 or 8 people to not do it, this isn't normal. Tang Mo wondered, do you think they are imprisoned or dead? Under the helmet, there was no fluctuation in Fu Wenduo's expression. His voice was low and certain. They are dead. The glasses man Old Leaf searched carefully along every stone road in the capital of the underground kingdom and didn't find anything. Most of the roads in the underground kingdom were dirt roads and there were only 8 stone roads. But these roads were the main roads of the underground kingdom and were crowded. It was difficult to find any anomalies. The glasses man and his teammate returned to the cabin by the dock. They waited half an hour before Xiao Chen's team returned. Then after another half an hour, a dusty young woman jumped through the window. The 5 people exchanged information. Old Lee said, the captain and I found 3 roads with no abnormalities. We are currently playing a game and the underground people don't recognize us. But we didn't dare to get too close to them and ask them for information. Thus, we couldn't find anything. What about you? Xiao Chen shook his head. Nothing. A young female voice was heard. I saw Mr. A. The 4 men's eyes snapped to her. Lin Yi explained calmly, Mr. A is wearing armor and a helmet over his face so I can't see his appearance. He went to the circus early this morning, sneaking in through the back door. None of the players monitoring the place should have seen him. It was only through coincidence that I happened to see him. My ability is more inclined to stealth so I followed him to see where he is going. However, Mr. A found me and quickly threw me off his trail. The man in glasses asked, what did he do at the circus? What about the monster? Lin Yi replied, I didn't see the monster. He was alone. The glasses man's fingers tapped gently on the table. Old Lee thought for a moment before turning to ask, Captain, why did Mr. A go to the circus if it wasn't to send the monster? He has such an obvious letter above his head. Doesn't he know that us players can see it? Why does he want to sneak into the circus? The glasses man said, if he didn't know about the letter, he wouldn't sneak in the back to avoid being seen. What does he want to do? The glasses man's tapping on the table was getting faster and faster. The sound echoed in the small room as the 4 players held their breaths, waiting for their captain's answer. 3 minutes later, the glasses man sighed heavily and he looked at the young woman. Xiao Yi, don't go there tomorrow. Mr. A has found you. He went to the circus today to see how many teams are trying to steal the monster. They are collecting information about the players. Lin Yi was shocked. Captain, haven't I already been exposed? The glasses man said, yes, that's why you don't need to go to the circus to monitor it. Tomorrow, we will continue to find every stone road to see if we can discover anything. The day after tomorrow, the Black Tower will tell the players the location of the monster. We must recharge our batteries in these 2 days. The day after tomorrow will be a big battle. Lin Yu said, Mr. A is really strong. Once he discovered me following him, he threw me off with a very fast speed. He is a powerful enemy. The enemy I am speaking of isn't just Mr. A and Mr. B. Everyone looked at the glasses man. The glasses man suddenly stopped tapping on the table. Including us, there were 3 groups watching the circus. This is too few. On the first day, 4 people tracked Mr. B and now there are only 3 people. At least 10 people didn't go to watch the circus. This number is too high. Something must have happened so that only 3 groups are watching the circus. Xiao Chen asked nervously. Captain, what happened? I don't know. But I feel that it isn't good. On the 3rd day of the instance, when there were 4 days until the strange circus surprise night. The glasses man and Old Li were searching the 7th stone road when they stopped and watched the crowd gathered in the distance. The 2 of them looked at each other before walking over to see what happened. They were surrounded by underground people and must hide their identities, pretending to be the same as these underground people. But this time, the 2 of them hadn't started acting yet when they saw something. The glasses man looked up and saw the 3 humans hanging from the eaves. Old Li also looked at the 3 bodies with disbelief. Once he saw that these 3 people had their bellies cut open and their internal organs hanging out, his face changed. Then he saw one of the men's intestines fall to the ground, leaving only one piece connected to the stomach. The wind blew, causing the intestines to sway in the air. Old Li felt a boiling in his stomach and he almost vomited, but he quickly resisted. The underground people looked at the 3 bodies and gulped. There are 3 human players. Unfortunately, they are dead and their meat isn't fresh. If it isn't fresh then don't eat. I saw it first and I want to eat them. After a long time, the 3 bodies were pulled down from the eaves by the underground people. They pulled apart the limbs of the 3 men and started biting on them. Old Li felt nauseous and looked away. The glasses man wanted to check the bodies. However, once he saw them being eaten, his face whitened and he turned to leave. Old Li asked in an uncomfortable manner, Captain, don't you want to vomit? The glasses man didn't speak and continued to move forward. Once they turned into a remote alley, the glasses man started vomiting. Old Li also vomited until he only spat out acid water. He cried out angrily, fuck, these underground people want to kill and eat, why did they need to cut the bellies and hang people for a show? These underground people look just like people but they aren't people. They are monsters. It isn't the underground people. Old Li was stunned. What? The man with glasses wiped his mouth and narrowed his eyes. I have long discovered that the underground people like to eat humans as much as the monsters, but they seldom take the initiative to attack humans. Especially now that we are players in the game. The 5 of us have met many people in the underground kingdom but none have discovered our identity or tried to actively attack us. Captain, what do you mean? It was players who killed them. Noon on the 4th day in the underground kingdom. The hot sun hung high in the air. Tang Mo stood at the window of a deserted building and looked up at the dazzling sun. A clear child's voice rang in Tang Mo's ear. Ding dong. The detective's contempt is opened. A green light shot out from the center of the sun, splitting into 18 parts that flew towards the earth. The lights flew very fast and Tang Mo's dynamic vision couldn't see where the other 16 rays headed to. It was obvious that the Black Tower was hiding the location of the other players. Tang Mo turned and asked, "Did you see it?" Fu Wenduo replied, "No." The two people didn't say anything else as two green lights shot into their abandoned building. The two rays of light headed towards the cage where the monster was contained. There were cries from inside. After 2 days, the two players were exhausted by the monster and couldn't even shot. They could only painfully hum and had no strength to see the so-called detective's contempt. The two lights hadn't entered the cage when Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo grabbed them. Tang Mo looked down at the green light in his palm. He carefully observed it for a moment before raising his head to meet Fu Wenduo's eyes. The two of them opened the green light together. Suddenly, the green light flew to the two people's heads and covered them. Tang Mo's heart jumped as he looked at Fu Wenduo surrounded by a green light, faintly detecting something wrong. He didn't realize what was wrong as a map appeared before him. The center of the map had a green love sign, pointing to the abandoned building where the two men currently were located. Small lines of text slowly emerged on the map. Prop. Detective's contempt, owner. Wang Yinggui, quality. None, level. None, attack. None, function. Shows the location of the circus monster. Restrictions. A one-time item that only lasts for 3 seconds before the map disappears. Please remember the detailed location carefully. Note. Want information without paying. Small child, if you want to live a good life, you will have a green light above your head. 3 seconds later, the green light above Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo's heads disappeared. Tang Mo looked at Fu Wenduo. Are you ready? Fu Wenduo seemed immersed in the fact that he had been forced to be green and didn't answer. Tang Mo asked again. Fu Wenduo. Fu Wenduo looked at Tang Mo, good. Tang Mo clenched his fingers and his lips curved. He put his mask back on and smiled. Then let's follow our plan. Tang Ji, see you in 3 hours. The next moment, both people split up and disappeared from the room. In the middle of the room, a huge cage stood silently in place with no one around it. The author has something to say. Green Tang. Green Fu. Hashtag they haven't talked about love, being green with each other is no problem. Hashtag TL. I've made a Discord group to discuss all my novels, both BL and non.BL. Feel free to join if you want to chat about RS or anything else. Invitation link is below. Chapter 69. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At noon on the 4th day, the detective's contempt activated and flew to the hands of all surviving Black Tower members. In the wooden cabin next to the pier, the 5-person squad also got the prop. They opened the green light and saw the mark on the map. Go. The 5 people quickly passed through the crowd, leaving the dock. At 12:02, the glasses man arrived first. He hid behind a large stone and looked at the small building 100 meters away. He stretched out a hand to block his teammates and spoke in a low voice. Sure enough, it was near a stone road. Unfortunately, we didn't find this place. There are still 18 players who are alive. We have to face not only Mr. A and Mr. B but also the other players. The young woman whispered, Captain, my abilities are suited for investigation. I will go and see if there are any other players nearby. Good, be careful. Lin Yu's body changed and she disappeared from behind the big stone. There were only 4 people left. The man stared at the small building. 3 seconds later, he said, there is no movement inside. We were close to this building and our speed is fast. The other players might not have arrived yet. Xiao Chen, Old Li, stay here. Brother Hao, let's change positions. Xiao Chen asked, Captain, why do you want to change positions? It is to prevent being swept away. He got up with the middle-aged man and left. BDNV. The 5-person squad was divided into 3 groups. 2 people to ambush from a distance and 2 people who approached the small building. Lin Yu moved through the building at an extremely fast pace. The houses in the underground kingdom were mostly small and worn, each house being close to each other. This was noon. The sun was hot and glaring, while the lazy underground people were sleeping in bed. Lin Yi passed a lot of houses and heard the deafening snoring of the underground people. She was physically strong and almost turned into a shadow. She quickly left the range of the small building and searched the surrounding areas. Her footsteps were light and her movements were too fast to be seen as she ran several kilometers. Suddenly, there were 3 people to her left. Lin Yi turned and hid in a dark alley. She secretly stared at the 3 people. The 3 men walked very quickly, wearing the clothes of the underground kingdom. They seemed to be walking casually and deliberately, not rushing in a certain direction. However, their hands were clasped on their weapons and they looked warily around them. Once she saw them look at the alley, Lin Yi stepped back and pressed against the wall. The 3 men didn't notice her and kept moving. Lin Yi sighed with relief. After the 3 men left, she quietly walked out of the alley. 3 people and 10 others. There are at least 2 teams. Once she finished speaking, she disappeared again to look in the other directions. Time went by. 1 hour had passed since the Black Tower released the position of the monster. Finally, there were players who couldn't hold back. 2 figures flew into the abandoned small building. Brother Hao's heart became urgent and he wanted to raise his upper body. However, the glasses man held him back. Don't move. This is the first group of people. They probably have 2 teammates arranged outside. We can't be careless. Brother Hao nodded and the 2 people once again lay in the grass, no longer moving. Sure enough, when the 2 men ran in, another figure shot after them. The sound of fighting was immediately heard from the small building. The glasses man closed his eyes and put his ears on the ground to listen. After a while, a voice was heard from the small building. Damn, it's not here. We came late. The monster has been moved away by Mr. A and Mr. B. The glasses man was stunned. Brother Hao asked in a strange manner, our dock is only a few kilometers from here. We arrived in just 2 minutes and took different roads according to Captain. We contained the small building in case Mr. B sent the monster away. Is Mr. B's speed fast enough to send the monster away in 2 minutes? The brow of the glasses man also wrinkled. He didn't talk and the players didn't move. He didn't know if Lin Yi came back yet or about Old Li and Xiao Chen in the distance. After a moment of contemplation, the glasses man said, don't worry. We will wait. A minute later, 3 figures flew out of the small building. The glasses man and Brother Hao waited another 5 minutes before standing up and running towards the small building at the fastest speed. Once they entered the small building, they found that the ground was full of blood. The 2 people touched it and said, it hasn't solidified yet. It seemed that the blood was left by the 3 people just now. The first 2 people should be on the same team and the latter person is on another team. The 3 of them were fighting here. The glasses man analyzed. The result of the battle is that they both lost. The last person who entered is relatively tall and dared to come alone. Unfortunately, they didn't find the monster here, nor did they meet Mr. A and Mr. B. Brother Hao said, it isn't suitable to stay here for a long time. Captain, we should go. Wait a minute. The glasses man frowned as his eyes wandered this ruined and dilapidated building. It is too close. We ran over in 2 minutes and there are 4 stone roads leading to this building. The 5 of us blocked these 4 roads. Then what method did Mr. B use to remove the monster? The carriage is gone but the cage is still there. The cage was left behind. Brother Hao asked with a strange expression, why does he want to change the cage? Is it because the cage isn't good or because of another? The glasses man suddenly cried out, look around. Captain. There is a 50% probability that Mr. B has taken away the monster. But I believe in our speed. We blocked every road in 2 minutes but we never encountered Mr. B and his carriage. So there is a 50% possibility that he didn't take the monster with him. The monster is still here, hidden somewhere. At this moment, there was a faint impact sound. The glasses man and Brother Hao immediately closed their mouths, listening carefully to the movement. A minute later, there was a light collision sound. The glasses man immediately turned to look at Brother Hao. The two people nodded. Brother Hao suddenly flew out of the window and landed in the courtyard of the small building. A silver playing card appeared in the hands of the glasses man. He hid in the darkness on the second floor of the building, not going out. One person was outside, one person was in the dark. The strong Brother Hao looked around vigilantly and found no abnormalities. He lifted his feet and walked into this small courtyard. The small building had been abandoned for a long time. The flowers in the garden had already withered and fell to the ground. The path outside the flower garden was full of weeds. He took slow steps into the garden, his eyes fixed on the tree in the middle of the garden. However, he didn't see any abnormalities. Then he headed to the small artificial lake in the garden. It was a very small lake. The size wasn't big and the water wasn't deep. The murky black water was calm and there seemed to be no living creatures in the water. The lake's surface was as smooth as a mirror. Brother Hao stared at the lake. He seemed to see something as he held a dagger. On the second floor, the glasses man was squeezing the card and ready to help. The next moment, Brother Hao gave a thunderous shout and hit the lake. Boom! The dirty water was overturned by this powerful force and parted, like Moses splitting the sea. It revealed remnants of dead fish, dead branches and leaves at the bottom of the lake. Brother Hao was surprised by this scene and the glasses man also stared with amazement. Brother Hao examined it carefully. There was really nothing unusual under the lake. He looked at the second floor and signaled that he was going to leave. The glasses man silently watched his teammate leave the small lake and prepared to retreat. His peripheral vision suddenly noticed something to the side and made a movement with his fingers. A plane quickly flew out, smashing through the soil and into the earth. Something seemed to be shot as a pained sound came from under the earth. Brother Hao squinted and ran to the grass in the blink of an eye. He was as strong as an ox, digging up the soil twice to reveal two small cages and two people inside the cages. The two men were naked and they were painted with a shiny layer of light. One of them had a playing card in his shoulder. It was obviously the one that the glasses man had just shot. Brother Hao continued to dig. He dug really quickly. It took him only 2 seconds from the time he started to dig up the two humans. Only 3 seconds had passed when he dug out a dazzling letter. On the second floor, the man in glasses saw the letter and exclaimed, "Hey, be careful." Brother Hao hurriedly took a few steps back. The knight hiding in the dirty had already pulled out a knife. His wrist moved slightly and the knife was fired. The knife flew very quickly, scratching the arm of Brother Hao and hitting the big tree in the center of the yard. Boom! The big tree collapsed. Brother Hao's face changed while the glasses man jumped from the second floor. In the pit, the two players inside the cage were exhausted. A tall knight in armor slowly emerged from the pit. There was a letter A above his head and he was carrying a huge sack on his shoulder. In the sack, a monster constantly twisting its body and made loud noises. Upon hearing the sound, Wang Yinggui and Old Niao shivered like it was the scariest thing in the world. The glasses man and Brother Hao looked at each other. Then the glasses man took a white stone from his pocket and smashed it hard. The next moment, outside the small building, Old Li and Xiao Chen looked at each other with surprise. Then they got up and rushed to the small building. In the overgrown courtyard, the glasses man's group of 4 watched the strange knight in front of them. The armored knight with the letter A watched the 4 people quietly. Then the 5 people rushed forward and attacked. Meanwhile, Lin Yi had made 3 laps around the small building. Lin Yi also saw the 3 players who left the small building. She thought for a moment before following the solo player. She quietly followed behind this player. This player was very strong, but he was injured after fighting with the other 2 players. Blood ran down his arm and towards the ground. Perhaps his alertness dropped due to his injury. Therefore, he didn't find Lin Yi behind him. Lin Yi secretly thought, this is the 5th team. The 3 players who previous died were one team. The 2 players killed by Mr. A and Mr. B are another team. The 3 people I just saw on the street are another team. There is our team and the team this person belongs to. The task that the captain gave her today was to find as many of the 18 players as possible. All she needed to do was remember their faces. Lin Yi followed the player all the way to the outskirts. They left the capital of the underground kingdom and there was no more houses on both sides of the road to hide in. Fortunately, the weeds flourished here. Every plant was as big as a tree, making it like a country for giants. Lin Yi followed this player all the way to an abandoned small stone house. His team is here. After seeing that the man was about to enter the house, Lin Yi widened her eyes so she could see the other players in the house. But just as the man's hand touched the doorknob, Lin Yi's heart leapt wildly and she thought, not good. Clang! As soon as the door opened, a silver light emerged from the house and shot straight at the man's head. The man's eyes opened with horror and he couldn't see who the enemy was before he died. His body was thrown back and smashed into the ground. Lin Yi turned and ran. But her speed was a bit slow and a surprised voice came from the house, there was another one. Lin Yi's scalp tingled and she ran at her fastest speed. Her ability wasn't the combat type. She could only escape from fierce enemies. However, she didn't expect that the enemies weren't just in the stone house. There were 2 waiting to ambush people outside. In front of her, a tall and mighty-looking bald moved past through the huge weeds, staring at her with a sneer. On his left, a pretty teenager in a red coat looked at her curiously, eyes sliding from the top of her head to her toes, before finally looking at her face. After watching her for half a minute, the beautiful teenager cried out happily, I want her head. Digging out her eyes and brain will certainly make the best nests for my bugs. Lin Yi used her feet to turn to the right. The bald man shouted, do you still want to run? A middle-aged man rushed out of the small stone house and countless knives flew from his hands towards Lin Yi. The bald man roared and hit his chest. Thick brown bear fur soon grew on his head. He used his hands as feet as he fell on 4 limbs. Then he ran towards Lin Yi. Lin Yi ran quickly, causing the knives to fly past her. However, the brown bear bald man was fast. The thousands of black bugs flying towards her were even faster. There was the buzzing of insects in the outskirts. In the places where the huge insects flew, the giant weed were completely eaten clean. No grass survived where the locusts flew. The insects were just about to bite her hair. Lin Yi gritted her teeth and pulled out a knife while turning around, prepared to fight the insects. The moment that the insects approached, a pink parasol blocked in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi was frozen in place from shock. There was a strange word in her ear that seemed to be transformation. She was still confused when the black insects ran into the small parasol. It was like a heavy rain as the insects hit the parasol and fell down the sides of the parasol. After the crashing sound, the swarm flew into the air and rushed from another direction. The sound of the insects caused Lin Yu to get tinnitus. She vaguely heard someone shouting behind her. Yay! What, yay! There was no time for Lin Yi to understanding as a powerful fire rushed towards the huge swarm of insects. The flames collided with the black insects, causing them to burn and fall to the ground. The beautiful boy screamed miserably while the knives from the middle-aged man already flew over again. Tang Mo raised the small parasol and blocked the knives. Then the bear man appeared. He hit the small parasol with his limbs. The power was terrible. Tang Mo was blown back with the small parasol while Lin Yi coughed up blood as she was also knocked to the ground. Tang Mo swallowed the bitter and sweet taste in his mouth. He looked up and watched the bald man who was like a brown bear in the distance. The bald man let out a few roars while the pretty teenager behind him shouted, "Kill him. That mother Mr. B killed my insects. I'll kill him." The three people attacked together. The middle-aged man's silver knives were strong hidden weapons. He had countless knives that he fired at Tang Mo's fatal spots. The beautiful youth's insects constantly crawled onto Tang Mo from the ground, limiting Tang Mo's positioning. Finally, the bald man was the most terrible. He was the most powerful player that Tang Mo had ever seen. His body strength was higher than Fu Wen was. His speed wasn't as fast as Fu Wen duo, but his power was terrible. Countless cracks appeared in the ground when he punched it. Whenever his fist smashed against the small parasol shook slightly. Tang Mo's jaw dropped open from shock and he retreated backwards. Fortunately, the bald man's movements weren't agile and were a bit cumbersome. Tang Mo constantly evaded him. Then Tang Mo's eyes narrowed as he saw the pretty teenager turn to deal with Lin Yi on the ground. He opened his small parasol and threw it to Lin Yi. Lin Yi quickly caught it, learning from Tang Mo's previous actions to use the small parasol and block the terrible insects, while turning to run at the same time. Lin Yi ran away and the beautiful youth returned to deal with Tang Mo. The three men joined hands. Tang Mo moved his head to the side to avoid the bald man's fist, finding time to take out the big match and aiming it towards the bald man's neck. The bald man hadn't expected Tang Mo to have the big match. There was a hit and the bald man roared, his eyes red. Tang Mo took this opportunity to raise the big match, smashing it towards the bald man's head. Just then, a cold female voice was heard from behind him. "Checkmate." A sense of crisis swept over Tang Mo's brain. He immediately gave up on killing the bald man, turning in the air and using the big match to block behind him. There was a bang and the bullet hit the head of the match. A thumb-sized hole was made in the match head and the bullet was deeply embedded. There were actually 4 people. Tang Mo turned to run. It was too sudden. He had just raised the match to take the bald man's life and now he fled. His speed was a little slower than Lin Yi, but he ran when the 4 people couldn't react. By the time they thought of chasing him, Tang Mo's figure had disappeared into the grass. The bald man's neck was hit by the match but he wasn't dead. His head was twisted in an eccentric posture. The middle-aged man approached and forcefully twisted the head back. The brown bear fur gradually disappeared from the bald man's face and he angrily yelled, "I must kill him, I must kill him." The short-haired woman came over this time and said coldly, "In fact, Mr. B almost killed you just now." The pretty boy cried out, "I'm going to kill him too. He killed more than 900 insects. I want to kill him. This time we weren't prepared. Next time, I won't give him a chance to escape. The 3 of us can kill him. His strength isn't that high. Why did you underestimate him? You should have punched him in the head just now." The bald man was angry. "Then what were you doing? You should have made your insects bite his eyes out. You." Lin Yi ran for half an hour through the endless weeds in the outskirts before stopping and resting against a tree. After deciding it was safe, she started to think about what happened just now. How could Mr. B save me? Lin Yi looked at the pink parasol in her hand. Her eyes flashed to the minstrel appearance, the gray feather on the hat and the mask that blocked Mr. B's face. He was tall and thin. His eyes were composed and he calmly dealt with the thousands of black insects. Then he gave this umbrella to her. Lin Yi muttered, "Am I crazy or is Mr. B crazy? Hee, are you crazy or is Mr. B crazy?" She encountered too many incredible things today. Lin Yi subconsciously replied, "I'm not crazy, Mr. B is crazy." Her voice suddenly stopped. She pulled out her knife and turned to look at the person. She froze once she saw the person's face. Under the sunlight, Mr. B was leaning against an orange tree and grinning at her. He was smiling but the smile didn't reach his eyes. This bad smile caused a sense of disgust to form in Lin Yi. It was like this person saw her as a joke and was always taunting people. Yet he did so while smiling, making him seem like a crazy psycho. Lin Yi don't know how to face Mr. B. Just now, Mr. B saved her life and gave her the parasol. Lin Yi hesitated for a long time before decided to thank Mr. B first. But as soon as she bowed her head, she saw a pink thing stuck to Mr. B's hand. A piece of silk was in the air and the other end was actually attached to her. Lin Yo looked back with a startled expression. She didn't know when but she had a pink thing stuck to her back. The sweet strawberry gum that can't be removed. Tang Mo smiled and looked at the young woman in front of him. He recalled Bai Ruoyao's behavior and imitated his tone. Once stuck on, you can never escape. This is a love that will never end. At this moment, Lin Yi's only good feelings for Mr. B vanished. The other person's disgusting tone gave her goosebumps. At the same time, she realized. You stuck this thing on me and always knew where I was. This was how Mr. B found her despite her running for 30 minutes. Lin Yi felt cold. Mr. B tilted his head and smiled. I know. Lin Yi's voice trembled. What do you want to do? Didn't you just save me? If I save you, does that mean I can't catch you? Tang Mo smiled. As soon as his words finished, Lin Yi saw Mr. B's figure flash. Once she saw Mr. B again, this terrible black tower monster was already standing in front of her. He stretched out his hand and hit Lin Yi's neck to knock her out. Before Lin Yi fainted, she heard herself say angrily, "Fuck." The author has something to say. Tang Tang. If I save you, does that mean I can't catch you? Shi Huiyao smile, Shi Huiyao. My friend, I smile like this, he 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 he. Chapter 70. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A deserted tailor's store in the underground kingdom. Lin Yi gradually woke up. She didn't open her eyes for a while. She pretended to be unconscious as she quietly listened to the sounds around her. Soon she heard a voice say, "You woke up. Why are you pretending to be sleeping? Do you want me to go to the palace to ask the prince to kiss you and wake you up?" Hey, this seems like a good suggestion. Lin Yi's expression changed and she quickly opened her eyes. She stared at Mr. B, who was dressed as a minstrel and sitting on a dirty wooden box. He still wore a gray mask and Lin Yu couldn't see his appearance. The eyes he showed seemed very nice but his weird smile never changed, making people feel unhappy. Lin Yi stared coldly at Mr. B from where she was tied to a pillar. Suddenly, another person entered her field of view. She looked to the right warily. It was a tall man wearing strange armor. The underground person, he should be a person, not a monster, leaned against the table behind Mr. B. A large letter was suspended above his head. Mr. A stood quietly behind Mr. B. One was weird while the other was mysterious. Suddenly, Mr. A turned to look at Lin Yi. The other person's face was clearly blocked by a silver helmet but Lin Yi felt cold. She had a strange feeling that Mr. A was even more terrible than Mr. B. She might have a chance to escape from Mr. B's hand, but it was absolutely impossible to live under Mr. A's hands. Lin Yi gritted her teeth as she stared at the terrible Mr. A and Mr. B in silence. Half an hour ago, Tang Yamo brought the woman into this hut and waited 10 minutes for Fu Wenduo. At that time, Lin Yi was unconscious, so she didn't know that Mr. B's annoying smile disappeared the moment she fainted. Tang Yamo brought her here at the fastest speed, and after seeing Fu Wenduo, the two of them exchanged information. The two people were rescued by the 4 players. Fu Wenduo said calmly. The 2 people he was talking about referred to Wang Yingui and Old Niao. He continued, they didn't take the monster. The monster is currently in the next room. Tang Yamo walked into the room, looked at the monster in the big sack and returned. Good. Are you hurt? They are all small wounds. Are you hurt? Tang Mo's sleeve was cut and some blood stained his clothes. He said, they are also small injuries. After that, the two of them talked for a bit and waited a long time until Lin Yi woke up. Tang Yamo didn't think the strength of his hand was that serious. He just struck her lightly, yet Lin Yi ended up unconscious for more than half an hour. 1 minute before Lin Yi woke up, Tang Yamo looked dignified as he thought about the next plan. Once Lin Yi woke up, he smiled and continued to imitate Bai Ruoyao. Lin Yi didn't speak, and she didn't expect for Mr. A and Mr. B to also not speak. The two sides were stagnant for a few minutes. Finally, Lin Yi gnashed his teeth and said, what exactly did you grab me to do? Do you want to set a trap to seize my teammates? It is impossible. The captain won't risk everyone else for me alone. You should kill me. You won't get anything from taking me as a hostage. Tang Yamo gave her a meaningful look. Her tone was positive and it clearly wasn't a lie. It was impossible for her team to risk themselves for her, and they wouldn't come to save her. Who said that I want to kill you? Lin Yi was stunned for a moment before quickly hiding her surprise. Then what do you want to do? Do you want me to sell out my team? It is impossible. You can kill me. I will never say anything about my team's plans. In fact, they had no plans. They just acted according to the captain's words. Tang Yamo just giggled. Inside the helmet, Fu Wenduo's eyebrows raised as he heard this laugh. Lin Yi was waiting for Mr. B to declare her death. She wasn't afraid of death. It was already very lucky that she could live to the present and clear the Black Tower's first floor. The 5 of them were friends who met before the Earth went online. Since the first day they joined the team, they realized that they could die, but they could never betray the team. There used to be 7 people on the team. 2 teammates died on the first floor of the Black Tower, leaving only 5 people. After going through life and death together, they trusted their teammates. Lin Yi formed fists as she made up her mind and cried out, "Kill me." Tang Yamo laughed. Then how should I kill you? Tang Yamo just said he hadn't wanted to kill her. Lin Yi didn't expect him to now suddenly ask how he should kill her. This person's face changed faster than flipping a book. Lin Yi gritted out, "Up to you. Should I cut you to pieces?" Up.tou. Tang Yamo thought. Should I fry you in an oil pan until you crisp in order to eat you? Lin Yi shouted, "Up to you. It is better to peel off your skin first, clean it with water and then put in." Clang. A sharp dagger flew from behind Mr. B, moving past Lin Yi's face to stab into the stone wall behind her. The skills of the person throwing the dagger was too good. Lin Yi clearly felt the cold knife cut off the hair on her face, but it didn't pierce her skin. Lin Yi tasted death the moment the dagger was thrown. Her heart beat so fast it seemed like it would jump out of her chest. She had already expressed her determination to die, but she was truly afraid in that moment. She didn't want to die, she didn't want to die at all. She still wanted to live. Fu Wenduo raised his hand and said, "It was crooked." This hadn't been mentioned when discussing the plan. Tang Mo was startled but he quickly replied, Tang Ji, you scared our lovely food. Lin Yi, who was so scared she almost peed. After Fu Wenduo and Tang Mo's intimidation, Lin Yi was really frightened and didn't dare act brave again. Tang Mo could see her fear and understood that things had been laid out. He got up, went over to Lin Yi and bent down towards her. Tang Mo's eyes narrowed. Hey, you're not a stowaway. Lin Yi gulped and didn't answer. You aren't a stowaway. The humans we met before were stowaways. Lin Yi understood that Tang Mo was referring to the players on the outskirts. She thought for a moment before replying. They should be stowaways. Normal players don't kill randomly. I once encountered a stowaways group in the game. After the game, they killed a reserve player and stole his reward. Tang Mo said, I see. How many of you want to steal the circus monster? I know that the Black Tower would have sneakily told you this information. Lin Yi said, 36 people. Tang Mo wasn't surprised that the other person lied about the number. So many. Tang Ji, you just ate 2 people a few days ago. Have you killed recently? Fu Wenduo, who was forced to eat people, eyed Tang Mo and replied, no. Victor, in fact, I only ate half of them. You ate the other half. He kindly reminded. The strongly composed Lin Yi. Tang Mo said, there are a lot of opponents Tang Ji. This might be the biggest challenge in our detective career. Do you think I should eat this human fresh or do something else? In order to prevent Fu Wenduo from speaking again, Tang Mo spoke to himself, well, let's do something interesting. There are a few delicious stowaways. Tang Mo turned his head and smiled at Lin Yi. 1 hour later, a young woman woke up in a dark alley. Lin Yi observed the surrounding environment the second she woke up. Her hand was on the dart in her pocket. This was her secret weapon. However, Mr. B's strength was so much higher than hers that she hadn't had time to use it before being subdued by Mr. B. Lin Yi looked around and found herself in an empty alley. She stared at her feet before quickly running out of the alley. After spending 2 hours running around outside, Lin Yi determined that Mr. A and Mr. B weren't following her and ran back to the wooden cabin next to the dock. She entered and found that there was no one present. Lin Yi recalled the secret contact method the captain once told her. She walked to the sand table in the middle of the house and looked at the small stones placed on the sand table. 12 small stones were scattered on the sand. Lin Yi looked at it for a moment and interpreted the answer. Location B under the dock. 10 minutes later, Lin Yi found her teammates and 2 strange people. Her teammates were surprised by Lin Yi's return and Old Li quickly said, Xiao Yi, you finally returned. What happened? What took you so long? Are you hurt? Lin Yi's shoulder was bitten by the beautiful Boo's black insects. She said, I'm fine. The glasses man walked over. Did someone follow you? Lin Yi shook her head. Definitely not. The glasses man was relieved. Lin Yi glanced at the 2 strange men in the corner. Then she turned to the glasses man with a serious expression. Captain, I met Mr. B today and played against him. She spoke about Mr. B's one-sided suppression in the fight and then said, Mr. B is very strong. I feel that Captain and Brother How together might barely be considered his opponent. He also saved my life. I met a group of stowaways. The amount of information given by Lin Yi was too much. Everyone looked at her with astonishment. The glasses man calmed down. Xiao Yi, say things slowly and make it clear. This afternoon, I did the task assigned by Captain and followed a player. Then I met a group of stowaways in the outskirts. Lin Yi explained everything she knew, including how Mr. B saved her and then knocked her out. Finally, she told them everything she saw in the tailor's store. Mr. A was there too. Finally, Mr. B said it wasn't good to let me go but there are too many players. I lied and said there were 36 players. He released me and told me to return and tell you. Lin Yi looked at the glasses man and hesitated. Captain, he wants to cooperate. The author has something to say. Tang tang. Today is a day of mutual scamming, smile, old fool. My wife suddenly giggled. I'm really not used to it.